Hey there, I'm Rascal, and I recently did a 24-hour live stream to help raise money for this beautiful boy. And because I was going to be streaming for 24 hours, I decided I want to play my favorite game ever, Dark Souls. But I didn't want to just play Dark Souls. I wanted to see if I could do a full playthrough on a fresh character, and see if I could keep the death toll under 100. Now, if you're a member of the speedrunning community, then 24 hours may seem like a lot of time. I'm just a guy who loves these games, maybe a bit too much, and is going to play it as I would any other playthrough. I don't know any elite speedrunning strats, and I'm praying that I still have the muscle memory to not die repeatedly to certain bosses. I do have a few smaller objectives I want to complete on this run, but I'll bring those up as we get to them. So, without further ado, let's get into the run. I'm going to be honest here, I didn't get creative with the character I built. It's the same one I've built pretty much for all my playthroughs. A male deprived with an Astora Noble face and a slim physique, gifted with the Master Key. The one key difference here is the hair. I usually try to make myself in RPGs, but here? That's because one of the goals of the stream is that if we raise over £1,000, I'll shave my head on stream. So I decided to try and manifest that by making my in-game character bald. But honestly, that's a lot of money. I shouldn't be worried about having a cold head just in time for winter, right? The intro cutscene plays, setting up a bunch of bosses we're going to have to take out later on, and then we cut to my character rotting in a cell, before a kindly knight drops a corpse down that has the key to my cell on it. How convenient. After my elite prison break, I sprint down the corridor and climb up a well to find the first bonfire, and there we go, first achievement unlocked. I then open a big old door where you'd usually come face to face with the Asylum demon, but ain't nobody got time for that. I leave the room before the health bar even pops up. I continue, lighting another bonfire and collecting my shield and club before crossing a fog wall and opening a shortcut back to the first bonfire. I then trigger and dodge a trap that usually hits me, even with all the times I've played this game. This breaks a wall, allowing me to meet the guy who dropped a key into my cell. This is Oscar, who after telling us about the prophecy, gives us some healing juice, second achievement unlocked, and a key to the upper areas of the asylum. I make my way up, take out some enemies, fail miserably to get a backstab, and make my way through the fog wall to take on the asylum demon. My plunging attack takes out a large chunk of health, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 hits later, the asylum demon is vanquished. First try okay. I make my way out the asylum, where a few moments later, a crow kidnaps me and takes me away to fulfill the prophecy. The crow deposits me in the homeliest place in video games, Firelink Shrine, and we get our third achievement. After leveling up and chatting with some of the friendly folks in the area, which unlocks me an achievement, I make my way towards the next area. After making my way up the stairs by Firelink Shrine, I end up in Undead Burg. I go down a hidden path to grab a few extra items, and I just want to express how much I love this game very quickly. Even with the amount of times I've played, I never noticed this one item right here. Now you may be wondering how I've missed it over the course of so many playthroughs. Believe me, so am I. But the fact that there's still more that I haven't discovered fills me with joy. I take another drop down into the hidden path and pick up the elusive item, loop back around, and make my way further into the Burg, where a big old dragon cuts me off and flies off without so much as an apology. Unfazed by the rude dragon, I make it to the next bonfire, where after lighting it and resting, I turn back the way I came to go do some shopping. On the way to the store, I pick up a new chest piece, short sword, and grab a new shield. With my new upgrades, I take out some rather annoying shield dudes, break some boxes, and meet this interesting merchant. I purchase the residence key and the orange soapstone before making my way further down my little detour, where after a few more confrontations, I end up on a roof from which I can jump to another hidden area and pick up a crossbow and some bolts. Now that we're done here, I can head back to the bonfire where I level up a few times in preparation for what's to come. The loot gods decide to bless me with some newish trousers, and I find a door on which to use the residence key I bought. This leads us to a chest containing some gold pine resin. I make my way up the stairs, avoiding a fire barrel, and use the master key to contemplate if I want my first death to be being flattened into a pancake. I decide against becoming breakfast and make my way up the stairs and through the next fog wall. I climb the ladder by the entrance to take out 2 pesky archers, climb back down and move forward onto the bridge to trigger the Taurus demon to jump down. I perform a tactical advance backwards while applying the gold pine resin and climb back up the ladder to perform a plunging attack to take out about a third of the boss's health bar. A few hits later, the Taurus demon is taken out. First try okay. I move swiftly down the path. Why? Because Sunbro is waiting for me. Praise the sun, Sunbros! I accept Solaire's request to partake in jolly cooperation. I then use my elite gaming knowledge to bait the rude dragon from earlier into raining fire down upon the bridge, while I sit back and wait for him to land. Once he's sat atop his perch, I make a mad sprint to a set of stairs halfway down the bridge, which I go down to unlock a shortcut all the way back to the bonfire we just came from. Man, I love Dark Souls level design. I level up and head back up the ladder. We're not done with baiting the dragon just yet. I get back to the bridge and rush to cover to avoid the dragon's first fire attack. I then wait until my adversary decides to to stop being a coward and come down from the high ground. I immediately run past them, picking up a claymore along the way. I make it into the Undead Parish without being burnt to a crisp, pull the lever, and wait for my adversary to retreat. Coward! I then light the bonfire before farming these poor hollows for another level as I aim to reach the 16 strength required to use the claymore I just picked up. I can two-hand the claymore until I reach the required strength. I just need to forego my shield until then. I decide to do this, but I can't lie. It did make the next area a lot more nerve-wracking. I move forward into the next area, immediately going to the right once I enter this open space. We then use the stairs to tactically take out these melee enemies while taking cover from enemy fire. Once all the stabby boys have been taken care of, I rush the hollows firing shots at me. Taking them out allows me to pick up these items, the alluring skulls. I'm going to use these to get rid of the big old scary boar down below, but not before taking out another stabby boy who wants to 1v1 me. I make my way to the ledge and throw the alluring skulls into the fire below, making the boar forget any sense of self-preservation. On the last throw, I intentionally fall down, and now with the boar removed from the equation, I continue forward, picking up a mystery key as I ascend the building, until I make it to the next fog wall. After traversing said fog wall and crossing the bridge, I go right and sneak up on this boulder knight for a backstab. I don't particularly want to face him head on without a shield. Which I succeed in, and am rewarded with a new shield, which I still can't use for the moment, but I do like the colours. They remind me of Optimus Prime. I continue down the main path, where I get to a hallway where I know that there is one smaller enemy waiting for me on the right, and a bigger one on the left. The lack of shield making me more cautious, I try to lure out the one on the right, which, well, I'll let you watch how it went down. I've drawn both their attention, perform a tactical advance in the way of the French. Ah! Thankfully, and I'm not sure if this is a glitch or an invisible wall they can't cross, but they got stuck in the hallway. The way of the French was the cheese. I'm also rewarded with some new gloves for my cheese usage. I make my way forward, taking a small detour to pick up the basement key and open a gate that connects back to where we took out the boar, just in case I die. We make our way back to the main path and start taking out these pesky fellows when... oh no! Panic over, and we take out the remaining guys shooting at us from the corner. Now, what I would usually do here is go through the big old door into the church, unlock one of the most iconic shortcuts in video game history, and start throwing myself at the next boss. But I'm still at 0 deaths, and I want to keep it that way. And there's also one item that I don't do any playthrough of Dark Souls without, so it's time for... I go down the path opposite the church until I come to this building. I descend within to light the bonfire and level up, all while listening to a sound letting me know that one of the most Giga-Chad characters in all of Souls is nearby. So Giga-Chad he even made it into Dark Souls 3. And that character is this guy, Andre, the blacksmith. I chat with Andre and upgrade my claymore to +1 before running through the room beside him that contains a Titanite demon and come out into Darkroot Garden. From here I go down the path, performing some deforestation on the killer trees before taking a right. I follow the path down and drop down a ledge to pick up some leather armor and a longbow with some arrows. I equip the armor and then drop down again and turn around to be on the path to the treasure I desire. I follow the path for a short while before dropping down a ledge to skip its guard and... This beautiful shield increases stamina regen while equipped, even if you just have it sat on your back. And it also has pretty high physical damage negation while being used as an actual shield. I then bait the Black Knight I drop past into seeing if he takes full damage, and go into the cave behind him to find another bonfire and level up my strength to 16, finally allowing me to one-hand the claymore. I then make my way back to the Giga-Chad blacksmith, and use all the souls in my inventory to purchase Titanite shards and upgrade my claymore to +3. Now, although I could probably easily take down the next boss, we're not quite done with Operation Sword and Shield just yet. So I make my way back to the Darkroot Garden. This time though, I don't take a right to go down the hill. I go straight forward, forming some more deforestation until I reach this weird looking door, next to which is an invisible wall hiding a bonfire. From here, I turn around and take a left down a small path before arriving at a fog wall. After traversing the fog, I take a right and go full lumberjack on this normal looking tree with a health bar. This unblocks the way to a hidden area with these disgusting frog-like creatures, which I unalive with extreme prejudice. Then I go up this small path in the wall and take out the big but slow knight using the power of slight inclines. And for my efforts, I am awarded the Wolf Ring, a ring that improves poise, the stat that decides whether an attack will knock you on your ass or not. Now I travel back to Andre and upgrade my claymore to +4 before heading back towards the church with the big old door. Once at the church, I take on this chunky knight who, oh hell yeah, drops a Titanite shard, and with that, I'm going to make one last trip to Mr. Blacksmith to upgrade my claymore, but not before picking up the Firekeeper soul that the chunky knight was protecting. Now with my claymore up +5, the highest it can be right now, I set my sights on unlocking that legendary shortcut I mentioned. happened. I do get into a fight that nearly causes my first death before that though. But it doesn't, so we're all good. We're all good. Take this elevator down that takes me all the way back to Firelink Shrine. I rest quickly at the bonfire and then go below to meet the Firekeeper, who doesn't have much to say, but can increase the power of our Estus flasks with the Firekeeper sword that I picked up. Now, time for the last part of Operation Sword and Shield. I'm going back to the door I opened earlier with the master key, where I contemplated becoming a pancake. On my way there, I rushed through Undead Burg, one-shotting just about everything along the way. So satisfying. And stopping only to level up. I get back to the door, traverse it, and make my way down to Havel the Rock. This guy with a giant club. And even with my claymore upgraded to +5, I'm still only chipping away at his health bar, while he... You fools! I tricked you! Opening the gate wasn't foreshadowing! Breakfast was! Oh, yeah. That brings our death counter to 1. But hey, it's done now. And with that pressure taken away, we can come back and rematch my streak ender. So I return to face him. This time, we're able to get some backstabs in on him, dodge his flashing attack, and get another backstab, and... We're back? We're back? Okay, cool. Good. Now, most Souls players will be able to tell you before they get hit that they're about to get hit. I got greedy with my attacks here, and knew even before Havel's attack had landed that we were about to add a death to the death counter. What I couldn't predict was that Havel was about to kill me so hard that a weird black box was going to show up on my second screen, forcing me to restart my PC, and set everything back up for the stream. So that death also knocked a rough 20 minutes off our time remaining. But we're back now, and you know what they say, third time's a charm. Okay, we did it, guys. I managed to take out Havel, narrowly avoiding being taken out before the fight even started, and I pick up his ring, which doubles the weight of the armor I can wear without it affecting my roll speed, which is a big buff in my opinion. And with that, Operation Sword and Shield has been completed. I do decide to take on the Black Knight in Undead Burg on my way back to Firelink Shrine, just for good measure, and level up a few times before leaving the Burg. I also find myself something to cover my bald head. Once at the shrine, I use one of the humanities I'd been collecting to reverse my hollowing and allow myself to access multiplayer features, such as summoning. I take the elevator back up to the church and make my way up the stairs to the left, fighting off a horde of buffed hollows because I didn't take out the summoner during any of my previous visits. I then find a passage blocked by some planks, and this very friendly looking person asks if I can help him out of his cell. Thankfully, I picked up the mystery key earlier, and I'm able to help him in his request. Now we can go and fight the bell gargoyles. But to my dismay, I can't find the nice man's summon sign, and I just know he wouldn't let me down after I just let him out of his cage. So after a quick trip back to Firelink Shrine and another trip back up, I find his summon sign, as well as the mighty Sunbro Solaires. Now, with my team assembled, I traverse the fog and come face to face with a boss that must demand respect, as it has a whole cutscene dedicated to its entrance. The fight begins, and I manage to cut off the first gargoyle's tail. The first gargoyle falls. Now, my focus switches to the second gargoyle.
And it's gone.
Solaire and the friendly man have already done my job for me. Huh. First try, okay. With the bell gargoyles successfully vanquished, I climb to the top of the tower that they were guarding and ring the first spell of awakening, unlocking our 5th achievement. Now, I have a choice to make. Because I chose the master key at the beginning of the game, I could potentially use it to unlock some normally locked doors and go straight to the next Spell of Awakening boss fight. This could save me a lot of time and allow me to skip one of the most anxiety-inducing areas in the game, Lighttown, and the most deadly killer in all of Souls, Gravity. But this could also mean I end up at the fight pretty underleveled, and I'll miss out on some pretty important items. On the other hand, the other, more standard option has a few extra bosses to go through before getting to the next Spell of Awakening, but if I take my time, it should pay dividends in the long run. And the reason for that is the large ember located within the depths, which, once given to Andre, will allow me to upgrade my claymore all the way up to +10. So after weighing up my options, the bonus of the large ember convinces me to take the long way round. So first stop... I descend from where I rang the bell and head back towards Darkroot Garden, stopping at the bonfire to level up with all the souls I got from taking out the bell gargoyles. Now, because I'm feeling a little cocky with how quickly the bell gargoyle has melted, I tried taking on the Titanite demon Andre has been keeping locked in the room next to him. Yeah, that didn't go quite as planned. I decide against trying that again and head straight into the garden. I get back to the bonfire that was hidden by an invisible wall, level up once more, and then reverse hollowing again. Why? Because the next boss is really annoying without a strong ranged option. And while I do have some ranged options, the summon available is just better. I go back to the area where I killed the tree with the health bar, this time hugging the left side wall and taking out this big boy. Before ascending to the boss fight, I summoned the witch Beatrice. And with that, it's time to take on the Moonlight Butterfly. Beatrice decided that she didn't want to attack for the first few moments of the fight. But after taking a hit... I'm a fire in my laser! Oh boy, yep, bringing her was the right shout. My ally takes out about 2/3 of the boss's health before it decides to land, allowing me to claim the kill like the filthy kill thief I am. First try, okay. I'm sorry, Beatrice. You really are the true MVP here. I ascend the tower the butterfly was guarding and claim my rewards. The watchtower basement key and the divine ember. From here, I head back to the bonfire and level up. Make my way back down through Darkroot Basin, all the way to where I fought Havel. Send that tower to where I fought the Taurus demon, and on the bridge where we repeatedly baited the rude dragon, I mixed up the keys! Doesn't matter. We still got some souls from the butterfly, and we got to hang out with Beatrice. Anyways, I move forward and make my way down this big old ladder that would get Snake from MGS3 excited. I come out from there and go up the stairs to the right to unlock a shortcut back to Undead Burg and set my bonfire to the one there. I then make my way back down into Lower Undead Burg, where I take out some dogs who think I'm on their territory, and then I hear a call for help from this door. Using the residence key, I free the poor soul who was trapped inside, who informs me that he'll return to Firelink Shrine. I also find a sorcerer's set and a catalyst on a corpse that I found inside this barrel. After breaking the remaining barrels in the room, I leave and take a left to collect some items, taking out a mob of hollows wielding torches. I then pick up the twin humanities they were guarding and make my way back to where I asserted dominance on the dogs, where a dog who didn't learn the lesson of what happens to puppets that get in my way learns the lesson. After that, I decide to go knock on some doors and ask for directions. The first house I knocked on didn't seem to have anyone in, so I move on to the next one, where I think I hear someone inside, but after a short wait, I decide to try my luck elsewhere. But as I was leaving, to my surprise, this kind man came to answer the door. I get the directions I need and make my way forward. The kind man did warn me that there had been reports of stabbings in the area, so I should be careful. And wouldn't you know it, a few moments later, this guy tries to mug me. Thankfully, I was prepared, and I'm able to continue unscathed. Not even 2 minutes later, however, a group of Utes who had been lying in wait jump out and even sick their dog on me. Thankfully, again, I am able to fend them off. But boy, the rent around here must be really cheap. So I actually decide to have a look around some of the houses while I'm here, where I find some black leather armor and a thief mask, which gives me an idea. Maybe if I wear this armor, I can blend in with the locals. After equipping my new attire, I make my way forward, where I come across a fog wall, but I decide against going through it right now, and go down the stairs to the right instead. I come across 2 more hooligans who decide that just because we're wearing the same clothes, I'm still not one of them. I deal with them in the politest way possible and go on my way. Now I feel like I'm through the roughest area of Undead Burg, and find a large soul of a lost undead before making my way into a tower which, after making my way up and dealing with a pesky archer, brings me to a sewer. I speak briefly with this merchant at the entrance of the sewer, before making my way down the path and unlocking a door. I follow the path further, and up all the way back at Firelink Shrine, where I find Griggs, the sorcerer that I freed in Lower Undead Burg, who offers to teach me sorcery. I accept and learn how to cast a magic weapon, so I equip a catalyst, attune the spell I just learned at the bonfire, and there we go. I can now make my weapon blue. And you know what they say, bitches love blue. It's me. I'm bitches. So, I am planning on going back to Lower Undead Burg to go through the fog wall I skipped, but once I do that, I'm going to be going on a long journey down and end up in one of Miyazaki's favourite areas to put in his games, a poison swamp that slows your speed when you walk through it. But there is one item that can help make that area easier, and to get it, we're going back to where it all began. Before heading on the mission to get that item, I do a bit of exploring around Firelink Shrine, falling down the elevator shaft that connects to the Undead Parish. This brings me to an area with a bunch of chests. I wonder who could have put these here. I then loop back around to the elevator and take it up, but I jump off onto this ledge to partake in some parkour. I make a jump from the ledge onto this pillar and make my way into the ruins, where I make another jump onto this roof to pick up this key, which I've always wondered how it got here. But anyways, I loop back to the elevator one last time, repeat the first steps to get back into the ruins, but this time I make my way all the way up to this crow's nest, which prompts me to curl up like a ball. I wait here for a few seconds before the crow that brought us from the asylum turns up and takes me away. The crow then drops me off, and I find myself back at the Undead Asylum, though there seem to have been some slight changes since last time. I make my way down the hill, taking out these torch-wielding hollows on my way. I make it back to the first bonfire we lit, and then head to the upper levels of the asylum. This time, I do get hit by the giant ball coming down the stairs. Had to happen at least once. I then pop in to see how our good friend Oscar is doing, and he's gone hollow. Rest in peace, you sweet soul. I put him out of his misery and take his crest shield to remember him by. I then make my way up the stairs where something really unexpected happened. I come across a red vagrant, which are really rare. I've never seen one of these on any of my playthroughs. I'm not going to explain how their spawns work here, but if you're interested, there's a channel called Illusionary Wool on YouTube who has an in-depth video on what they are, as well as a bunch of other Dark Souls videos. Anyways, I take on the vagrant and... In my excitement, I didn't keep an eye on my stamina, and the vagrant now has a 100% win rate against me. Honestly, on stream, I was kicking myself for it.
What? Why? No!
But hey, nothing to do now but add a death to the death counter and move on. I make my way back to where I died, taking out the hollows on my path and going into this room. I then take on the 2 hollows in here before using the key we picked up on the roof to open this door. This allows me to go and pick up the aim of our quest, the Rusted Iron Ring. We'll get to its uses later, but for now, quest complete. There are some other things we can still do here in the asylum, so we're not headed back to Lordran just yet. The first thing I do is go down a wrong turn and come face to face with a Black Knight. I am able to take him down after a chase all through the asylum. Now, the actual next step is to go back to the cell I started the game in. On my way there, I come across a Black Knight, which, after a long drawn-out fight, adds another death to my death counter.
For flip's sake.
I return again, and this time, I'm able to take him out, allowing me to pick up the Peculiar Doll. Now, there's just one thing left to do here. I make my way back to the bonfire, then I walk into the arena where we took down the Asylum Demon, make my way to the center of the room, and the Fool falls out from underneath me. The Fool takes out a portion of my health, and I find myself face to face with the Stray Demon, a buffed up version of the Asylum Demon. And here, surprisingly, after how my trip back to the Asylum has gone so far, I lock in hard, nearly getting the kill without getting hit once. I do choke 2 hits away from the kill and get hit, but otherwise, let's try okay. I also receive a Titanite slab for my efforts, and with that, it's now time to go back to Lordran. I make my way out the asylum and hitch a ride on the Crow taxi service back to Firelink Shrine. My aim now is to go back to Lower Undead Burg, but the Stray Demon gave me a whopping 20k souls. So before that, I'm going to pay a visit to our favorite blacksmith for a bit of shopping. When I turn up, Andre notices the Divine Ember I acquired from the Moonlight Butterfly fight, and asks if he can have it. Of course you can have it, man. I trust you with my life. I then partake in the shopping I originally came for, purchasing the Crest of Artorias, a repair box, and a weaponsmith box. With that, it's time to head back to Lower Undead Burg. I make a quick stop at Firelink Shrine to set my spawn to there, and then back through the sewer I go, back down the tower, and through the rough ends, until I end up back in front of the fog wall. I buff my sword, making it a beautiful shade of traverse the fog, and come face to face with the Capra Demon and 2 dogs. Now, I would like to say this was a clean fight, but that would be a lie. I try making a dash for the stairs, but all 3 enemies surround me and push me up against a wall, nearly killing me. I do manage to kill one of the dogs before rolling away. The remaining dog then traps me in another corner of the room, and to be completely honest, I think it decides to toy with me a bit, because it stops attacking me just as I'm in kill range. I take this opportunity to run past my adversaries and up the stairs to heal when the Capra Demon full on tries to flatten me, but I survive to stand up and heal once again when the Capra Demon repeats the same attack. And while this one hits me, Capra Demon also falls down to the lower level, leaving me the time to take out the remaining dog and heal again. I then drop off the ledge, landing a plunging attack that deals some major damage. And a few hits later, my opponent falls. And while it may not have been a clean kill, it was still first try okay. For my efforts, I'm awarded the key to the depths. Now, I leave the arena where I took on the Capra Demon and make my way down the stairs until I come to this door, on which I can use the key I just acquired. I have now gained access to the depths. I start my long journey down, breaking the barrels I find along the way, because, well, it's just wrong not to. I go down another level and take out the hollows in my way. I then break a few more barrels and pick up this item. I then enter this big old room with a bunch of enemies around. Some more deadly than others though. I take out the lesser threat of the hollows and come down another staircase, where a dog tries to ambush me. But we know what happens to bad puppets now, don't we? After going down the staircase, this is where I come across a higher threat. One of the butchers. Quick fun fact, all the butchers are female. I mean, obviously, couldn't you tell just by looking? I try to draw out the dog next to them, but, well, the dog drew their attention in another way. Jeez, that's one hell of a jump. I managed to take out the dog, and after a short chase around the pillars in the room, the butcher falls as well. But they did get a few hits on me. I then opened the chest my previous foes were guarding and acquired the large ember. Cool! Now I've gotten this, I can go back up. Nah, I'm here now. We're going down the long way round. I find another set of stairs that lead into some water. This water would usually slow my speed when walking through it, but that's why I went to get the Rusted Iron Ring. This allows me to walk normally through the water, which is useful now, but is going to be a godsend later. I take out the enemies who are having a bath without much trouble and walk up out a mound of rubble. I then take a left and walk into a room filled with, oh my,
I can't explain the urges I'm feeling right now, but I control myself.
No, I didn't. I broke all of them.
Breaking the barrels also frees this friendly chap, Laurentius of the Great Swamp, who is very grateful for being freed. You're welcome, buddy. I then leave the room without any more breakages. A few moments later, though, I get ambushed by another butcher, but this one falls with a lot less trouble than the last one. Now, instead of going down this path, I loop back around to where I fought the first butcher and find what seems to be a disposal chute behind where she was standing. I drop down it to find myself overlooking a giant rat. And what do rats like? So I equip the crossbow I picked up at the beginning of the game and start firing till I have no bolts left. I then repeat this with the throwing knives, and finally, I finish it off with a firebomb. Don't work harder, work smarter. I then pick up the spider shield located on the same level as me, before dropping into the room below. I then pick up a humanity, the sewer chamber key, and a soul of a nameless soldier, before finding a narrow pathway at the end of the room. I make my way down it, acting as pest control to any of the rodents I find, before coming to this chamber with a bunch of rats and a channeler in. Now, killing this channeler is really important for the next boss fight. For those who don't remember, this mob is the one that buffed a bunch of hollows on my way up to the bell gargoyles. Now imagine what would happen if I let them live to buff a boss. Thankfully, using the technique of small doorways, I'm able to take them down, and all the rats in the room. I explore the room, where some smaller rats had been hiding in crates to ambush me. How did they get in there? Killing them rewards me with some humanity, and a few steps later, I find a large titanite shard. I then loop back and find a fog wall, which I traverse and make my way down the hallway. I then come out into a larger room where I continue to play the role of the Great Exterminator. And I also find a great axe. Once I finish channeling my Dalek energy, I go down a small hallway that brings me to a caged-looking room with some stairs that I ascend and then use the sewer chamber key that I picked up to unlock a door, giving me access to a bonfire. Phew. Moment of rest. I then take the time to level up, and then I reverse hollowing. This time, not just for summoning on the upcoming boss fight, but also, I'm looking for a fight. I make my way all the way back down to the room where I took on the giant rat, and then take a slide down to a lower level. Now, down here, I get the fight I was looking for when I'm invaded by Knight Kirk. I also get a fight I wasn't looking for when this monster, a basilisk, tries to attack me. What's so scary about the basilisks? If you stand too long in the gas that they spew, not only is it an instant death, but your health is also permanently halved, or at least until you find a purging stone to cure the curse. As you can imagine, that's not very fun, but I managed to take out the basilisk. Now, on to Knight Kirk. The reason I was looking for this fight is that Kirk will invade you 3 separate times over the course of the game, and if you kill him at all 3 locations, you can then find his armor on a corpse in a separate location. Will I use this armor? No, but it's a fun challenge I like to do on all my playthroughs. I managed to take down Kirk after a short fight, and continue on. Not long after this, I come to another large room, where I go up a set of stairs and unlock a shortcut back to the bonfire. I then go and meet another interesting merchant, and I make sure to make a purchase. In this case, the bottomless box. The reason for this is, this guy will sell boss armor sets back in Firelink Shrine, but you do need to make a purchase from him before he'll move there. After this, I head back to the bonfire to restore my Estus flasks, and then I make my way back down to where I was, and then go down this hallway into this area.
I do not like the looks of this giant fight chamber.
I descend a level where I find Sunbro waiting for me, and then Nice Guy Lautrec's summon sign is just behind a pillar. Before descending to the boss fight, I have a quick look around, finding a heavy crossbow and... What's this? Betrayal? My allies are on the side of the boss, trying to prevent my attack. Oh wait, false alarm. They let me out. I come to the fog wall, buff my sword, and traverse the fog, where a cutscene plays, and I've always found this cutscene iconic. The small head peeking out, just to be followed by the full scale of the gaping dragon. The fight starts, and I'll be honest, this fight isn't that hard, especially with the summons. I managed to cut off the tail, getting me the Dragon King Great Axe. After this, we're able to bring the dragon down, only getting hit once during the fight. And you know what that means? First try, okay. I'm then awarded the Blighttown key and a few extra rewards. Before leaving the fight arena, I look around and pick up the hard leather armor set. I then make my way back to the bonfire to level up before departing on the next step of my journey. I make my way back to where I purchased the bottomless box and, using the Blighttown key, open these large doors. I enter an area where someone seems to have turned on the darkness.
Hey, who turned out the lights?
And go down this ladder. I continue descending ladders until I end up on some dodgy looking flooring. I make my way forward where this big club wielding dude, known as an infested barbarian, tries to smush me. I promptly Sparta him off the edge.
This is Sparta!
And continue forward where I officially enter Blighttown. I can't explain the anxiety I was feeling on stream at this very moment. I continue down the path where another barbarian tries to halt my progress. But while these enemies are pretty tanky and hit like a truck, they're also pretty slow and easy to backstab, so it doesn't cause me too much trouble. Not much further on, I come across another barbarian, but this time he's joined by another one of the new enemies native to Blighttown, the infested ghoul. I'm able to take them out, only clenching my butt cheeks once. I then come across a few more ghouls which I take out and... Wait, is that guy using a corpse as a weapon? Huh. I'm not even mad. A for creativity. Continuing forwards, I finally come across something I had been fearing. No, not gravity claiming my life. That's an ever-present fear. And a lot of people who watch my stream know that I'm currently in a war with gravity and I'm trying to banish it to the Shadow Realm. No. A blow dart sniper. These guys are scattered all through Blighttown and shoot you with darts which inflict toxin. Toxin being a much deadlier version of poison. Why have one poison status effect when you can have multiple? The only good thing about these enemies is that they don't respawn once killed. But them shooting you until then forces you to move fast to get to cover, in an area where one false step can very quickly send you back to the last bonfire. Oh, and to add insult to injury, they have a high chance of dropping purple moss clumps, which cure poison, but not toxin. You need a blooming purple moss clump for that, and they only have a 10% chance of dropping that. I'm beginning to remember I usually skip this area, but I'm in too deep now, so I must soldier forward. I take on some more ghouls who don't give me too much trouble, and come to this area, where it's just nice to have a little bit of torchlight to chase away the darkness. I also get into a bit of a standoff with this ghoul. I want to go down the ladder, and they refuse to come up the ladder, so I decide to flank them and take them out with gravity. I guess it has some uses. I then find a large soul of a nameless soldier before coming across a pot with an interesting looking flower in it. My barrel breaking urges kick in and it was a ghoul! I kill it, and then another ghoul decides to volunteer to show the dangers of gravity. I descend the ladder and come across a bonfire. I restore my Estus flasks and continue forward from the way I came, where I come across another very large ladder. I think about going down, but I see a ghoul trying to make their way up. Channeling proper British etiquette, I let them come up first. The ghoul seems so touched by this act of kindness, they decide to hug me. The true Dark Souls were the friends we made along the way. I then take out another, less friendly ghoul before making my way down, where I slowly waddle across a platform to pick up some blooming purple moss clumps. I now feel a little less stressed about the snipers, but only a little. After this, I turn around and come across a swaying bridge that I cautiously cross and get a hell of a jump scare when a fire dog attacks me just as I'm about to reach the other side. I then explore the area to find some humanity. Not sure if it was worth the anxiety of the crossing, but I'll take it. I then make my way back up to the bonfire and rest. I make my way forward, going under the platform where I took out the ghoul in a pot. I come to this bridge where a ghoul and two fire dogs attack me. They put me on the defensive and push me back when, well, let's add another one. I retrieve my souls and change my plan of attack. This time I climb up the ladder back to where the ghoul in a pot was. From here, I partake in some more parkour and jump from the platform. This brings me to an area that after climbing a ladder allows me to pick up the shadow armor set. I then drop down to the left of where I looted the set, rewarding me with the soul of a proud knight. I then drop down once more and perform some more parkour. I land on a bridge that I cross and get into a fight with two ghouls. I take out one of them when two fire dogs flank me and bring me down to low health. And I have a plan. I'll wait for natural selection to take its course. And a 1, and a 2. I then heal up and take out the remaining ghoul. I move forward, jumping to a lower platform, picking up another soul of a proud knight, and facing off against two ghouls where... okay. I do want to say, when looking through the footage, it does look like I fall through the floorboards. I'm not sure about it, but I can't deny the luck of that landing. And I was able to take out another sniper, so wins all around. I then go around the corner from where I fell to pick up the eagle shield. I then loop back and do a series of ladder climbs and drops, killing another sniper on the way to get to this cave, which I go through and descend to find a big old parasite-looking thing that's been looming in the background for a while. And I'm going to say this, I am not a fan of how this enemy is placed. And not because it makes me very uncomfortable with its wriggling, which it does, but also because you don't get any feedback from the game that you're doing damage to it when you attack. But you're supposed to attack it to get rid of it. I launch a flurry of attacks until it falls, and pick up the power within pyromancy that was hidden behind it. Going down a level from here, I come across another cave where another barbarian and ghoul were waiting for me. I managed to take them out and push forward, descending the levels within to find a fog wall, which I traverse. I'm now on the final stretch of my way down. I make my way down another set of ladders and come across a new enemy type. I have no idea how to describe these. They're called a crag spider. The more you know. I take it out and... Oi! 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 Get off me! Ugh, that was disgusting. I face off against another one before descending another ladder and making a jump. I land and sprint to take out a sniper and pick up the Wanderer set. One of the coolest looking sets in the game. I go down another ladder and come face to face with one of the most infuriating enemies in the game. These giant mosquitoes. And while I take them out with one swing here, sometimes just trying to hit them can make you question your life choices. I face off against another group of crag spiders, and I know my end goal is close now. So I make a mad sprint for it, making it down to the swamp level, and I'm so happy I have the rusted iron ring right now. I get poisoned, but that doesn't matter, as I finally make it to a bonfire. Man, I'll say it, I hate going through Blighttown, but I made it down with only one death, and that's a relief. I take a second to level up, and then run to the end of the corridor the bonfire is located in to open a chest and loot a dragon scale. I then decide to equip the shadow armor set I picked up on my way down for the increased poison resistance. Quick side note, if anyone saw the Mighty Morphing Power Rangers movie with Ivan Ooze, does this armor make you think of the outfits the Rangers got when they went to that planet to get their powers back? Or is that just me? Now time to head to the boss. I reverse hold
following, this time because I'm looking for a fight to help with summons for the boss. That'll make sense in a minute. I leave the cave and take a right where a crag spider attacks me, and there, man-eater Mildred invades, and more mosquitoes. I take out Mildred without much issue, rewarding me with 3 humanities and the butcher knife. I then pop back to the bonfire and level up once more. After this, I make my way to the other side of the swamp and hug a wall, taking out some rock-throwing barbarians that try to slow my advance, until I find the entrance to a den. Spider cave? Lair? Well, it's called Quaelag's domain. I make my way down where I find a summon sign outside a fog wall, and oh, hey Mildred. Man, I love it when enemies can sort out the differences and become friends. I traverse the fog where a cutscene plays and ew, that's creepy looking. Hey, what are you saying? Quaelag, is it? Oh, well, the fight starts, and my main strategy here, if you couldn't tell, is to tap that booty. Using Mildred to draw Quaelag's attention and avoiding the boss's AoE explosion. It also helps that Mildred hits pretty hard, and with that, it's another first try LK. From here, I make my way to the back of the boss arena, where I go up a set of stairs and come to this room, where the next spell of awakening is waiting for me. But I don't ring it right away. No, before doing that, I go down another set of stairs to the level below the bell and hit this wall to unlock a hidden hallway. There are 2 reasons for this. The first is that there is a very useful bonfire here that will come up later in the playthrough. I also level up using the souls that I got from the boss. And the second is that I want to talk to this character, the fair lady, to enter the Chaos Servants Covenant. Once again, this will become important later in the playthrough. This also unlocks me another achievement. After this, I make my way back to the room that housed the invisible wall, and instead of going back up the stairs and ringing the bell, I decide to go down this tunnel and end up in the demon ruins. The reason for this is there's a boss pretty close by that has a trick that you can perform for an easy kill. So I thought I might as well do it while I'm here for the extra souls, and it shouldn't take too long. I light a bonfire on the way, but I don't rest at it. The Chaos Servant bonfire gives me 10 healing charges by default, which is most definitely worth a bit of extra walking. I then make my way down the path, across this bridge, and arrive at a fog wall. I traverse it, but the boss doesn't attack me immediately. No, we need to make our way through the arena to aggro them. I get to the end of the path where the boss is just chilling. Now, in the lore, the big monster looking thing is Quaelag's brother, who was transformed into this form when their mother, the witch Visalith, tried to recreate the first flame. The same thing happened to Quaelag and the fair lady. Anyways, back to the boss. He's just chilling here looking over these items that belong to another one of his sisters, so he's not going to be happy when my ninja looting tendencies kick in. I'll just play you the clip of how it went down. Okay, are we ready? As soon as we pillage this corpse, we need to leg it. Cool. Run, 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 run. Yeah, not quite as easy as originally planned. What you're supposed to do is, when you loot the items, you then leg it back to the fog wall, where the boss will jump off a ledge to try and get to you. After that, you're supposed to hit his fingers a few times, and then they fall into the lava below, giving you an easy kill. But yeah, didn't go quite as planned. At least next time we'll be right where we need to be as soon as we start, right? I make my way back down to the fog wall for a second attempt, and enter. This time, I'm just chill here while I wait for Ceaseless Discharge to lunge on me, but instead of lunging, he just uses Fire Blast a few times and adds a second death to the death counter. Yeah. Okay, weird. But as we've learnt, 3rd time's a charm. Are you kidding me? So I learned something new this day. I was scared that my low death playthrough and I were screwed here, as I haven't fought Ceaseless Discharge mono v mono since my first playthrough, and learning him now wasn't something I was looking forward to. But thanks to chat, I found out that you need to run all the way back to where you looted the sister's clothes, and then back again to the fog wall to trigger the jump. And there we go. He makes the jump. I hit his finger a few times, and down he falls, finally giving me the kill, and a cinematic plays of the lava below lowering. I'm not sure what the correlation between the boss and the lava level is, but hey, it's done. And what was supposedly going to be a quick and easy detour added 3 deaths to my death counter. I hope this isn't a sign of things to come. After finally getting the kill, I make my way back up to the Chaos Servant's bonfire and level up. I then make my way up to the lever to ring the second bell of awakening. When I pull it, a cutscene plays showing the bell ringing, and then we see some giants pull on some chains to open a doorway, which is where we'll be headed next. This also unlocks the achievement for ringing the second bell. Okay, so to get to that newly opened door, we're going to need to make our way back up through the Blighttown rafters. So I make my way back through the arena where I fought Quaelag, back into the swamp area, and then I stop quickly at the bonfire located around here. This is because we're not going up straight away. I'm going to take a quick detour down here to farm some large titanite shards. To do this, I make my way to the opposite side of the swamp as compared to where the Quaelag boss fight is located, to find these slug-looking mobs. These slimy boys have a chance to drop large titanite shards. This is still slightly tedious, because even with my poison resistance being pretty high, I keep having to pause to use moss clumps when the build-up gets too high. I also make another small detour to go up this route into the base of this tree, where I loot this pretty lousy shield. This looks like a dead end, but there's an invisible wall here that leads to another chest containing some twin humanities, and what looks like another dead end. But alas, we have been fooled once more, for there is another invisible wall! This one one leads to a whole new area known as the Great Hollow, followed by another area known as Ash Lake, which I don't go through, but I do light and rest at the bonfire, just in case I die while farming the slugs. Now, I make my way back to the swamp where I do a little more farming, before heading back to the swamp bonfire and mentally preparing for the journey up. I leave the bonfire and take a right to come to this ramp. I make my way up to a ladder, which I ascend, and come to a lift that has killed me more times in the past than I am willing to admit. Freaking gravity. I don't fall to my death this time though, and I'm able to continue ascending a few more ladders, taking out the enemies I find along the way, until I come to this platform, where I can either take a ladder up to escape, or take a detour into a room filled with snipers. But this room contains a really valuable item. Obviously, I go for the item. I charge the first sniper, but get toxined and have to retreat. I go back for another attack and get toxined again, but am able to take them out. I do fall back to heal up, but then I push forward into the room and make it to the next sniper, taking them out. After this, I'm able to make it to the third one, removing them before descending into the bottom of the chamber. Down here, there are some fire dogs waiting for me. I am able to take them out while under fire, and then take out another sniper. Now, the last obstacle between me and the item I desire is 2 more dogs. I managed to put them down, and there we go, a Firekeeper soul. For those who have forgotten, this is the item I used to level up my Estus flask. I just need to go back to the Firekeeper and Firelink Shrine. I wonder how she's doing right now. I then clear out the remaining mobs in the room before making my way out. But before going up that ladder I mentioned, I drop down and cross a tree branch to loot the Crimson Set and find a chest that contains the sorcery Remedy. I was feeling pretty calm about it all.
Then, everything changed when the
Mosquitoes.
attacked.
Showing why they are one of the worst mobs to face in the game, and cleaning out all of my healing charges. So I could go back to the last bonfire and refill them, or I could push on. I'm pretty close to my end goal though, so I take the risk. I make it to the ladder and commence my final ascension, going up a few sets of ladders before facing a crag spider that I take out without issue. I then go up a few more ladders, find a chest that contains the key to the New Londo ruins. I then make my way down the path and end up in this cave. This is the final stretch, but also contains a bunch of barbarians. So I decide to leg it all the way through. I manage to make it to the other side and come out into the Valley of Drakes. I cross a bridge, take a left, and use the key we just picked up to open this door. Now this is a relief. I finally feel safe, but we do have to go just a bit further. I make my way down a set of stairs and end up in the New Londo ruins. I then make my way a short ways forward and go up another set of stairs, pull a lever to call an elevator, and then I take the elevator up. Whew. There we go. We're back at Firelink Shrine. I love the sound of this music. But what's this? The robes the Firekeeper was wearing? And a black eye orb? The Firekeeper. She's been murdered. Whoever could have done this? And the bonfire. It's been extinguished. I guess we're not quite to safety yet.
It was just another day in Lordran. I had just come back from a case down in Blighttown when I saw it. Most people in this land are undead, and very few actually die. Some long for their final rest, and others make it through the curse by being of service to others. That was the case with Anastasia, the Firekeeper of Firelink Shrine. We had never talked much, due to her not having a tongue, but she allowed for the outcasts of this land to find a safe space to relax, including myself. So if anyone was going to find out who'd done it, it was going to be me. My investigation started the moment I got back to the shrine. I found her robes in the cage where she died, along with the black eye orb. This item telling me that it would allow me to invade the world of whoever murdered her. Now I just needed to find out who that was. I didn't have any leads. Time to ask around. Maybe someone saw something. I pay a visit to the Crestfallen Warrior. He always seemed like he knew more than the average Joe, but never seemed to act on it. When I saw him, all he could do was complain about the smell of one of the new residents. But it seemed like he hadn't moved since I last saw him. I doubt he would commit murder for no reason. It'd be too much effort. Next up, the pyromancer I met in the depths. He seemed like a good person, grateful when I freed him from the barrels of the butchers. But it could have all been a front. Before I could ask any questions though, he wanted to know if I had a disdain for pyromancy. In my line of work, it's not the tools you use, but the person using them. I tell him I have no qualms with his choice of magic, and he shares a portion of his pyromancy flame with me. Could this be a bribe? No. Sharing a portion of your flame is far too personal a gesture, but this could be useful in my investigation. He then teaches me how to cast Fireball, and how to get more power out of it. If he does turn out to be the murderer, he's just made it easier for me to take him out. But something's telling me to trust him. Maybe Petrus from the Way of White would have some information. He seems to have found some companions since I last left. Are they all complicit? Petrus and his first companion don't have much to say, bar that I should keep away from the lady they're escorting. I don't listen to them. But it's here that I realize the Way of White is too interlinked with the bonfires. They would never harm a Firekeeper. Just when I thought all seemed lost, the quiet-looking one of the party catches my attention. I wander over, and though he doesn't have much to say, I'm able to deduce everything I need. The murderer was Lautrec. Not that nice after all. Since the murder, he's made his way through Sen's fortress to Anolondo, taking the Firekeeper's soul with him. There's a chance to save the Firekeeper after all. But he's not alone, and I'm going to need to be fast to catch up and ready for the fight to come. So for that, I'm going to need to pay a visit to one of the few people I can confidently call a friend. Andre, the blacksmith.
as skilled with a hammer as he is trustworthy. I tell him I need a weapon, but my inability to do math meant that I could only upgrade my sword to +9. And while friendship may be rare in this land, it doesn't give you the materials to reinforce your weapons. It'll have to do. Now it's time to make a move before the trick gets too far. We start at the...
Oh, sorry. I had something in my throat there. Anyways, we're going to start the next stage of our journey at the bonfire located just above Andre. I level up once before heading towards what I can only describe as the House of Fun. You'll see what I mean. I make it to the newly opened entrance. You can see a slightly elevated floor panel. Well, that's the first of many traps that Sen's Fortress has waiting for us. But over the years, I've learned how to use some of these to my advantage. I enter the fortress, avoiding the trap until I draw the attention of the snake men located at the back of the room. Now, these guys are a substantial increase in difficulty in terms of damage and bulkiness compared to what we faced before. But if I run back and trigger the trap after aggroing them, hey, there we go. One down, making taking out the other one much more manageable. I then make my way further into the House of Fun, where I come to this narrow bridge with some ominous swinging pendulums. This place really was built by a cartoon villain. I make my way past the pendulums without getting hit when I start having lightning bolts thrown at me from an upper level. I get to cover under the bridge, where I wait for the snake man further ahead to come to me. I use my patented technique to deal with him and make my way to the level above. Here, the snake person who's been throwing lightning at me is just beyond some more swinging pendulums. I'm able to use my shield to block the lightning, get up close to them, and take them out. I then open a chest containing the last 2 large titanite shards I'll need to upgrade my weapons +10. I leave the room and come to a bridge where a snake man is chilling down below, but we'll deal with him later. And wait, what's this?
Oh, hello there, sir.
I may want to keep an eye out for those balls. I take a right out the room and... How did you survive that? Okay, I rush to the bottom of the incline to try and avoid any incoming balls, when a second snake man joins the fight and... yeah, we're now in double-digit deaths. But to be fair, I am doing better than I thought I would be. Anyways, once I respawn, I go make up for my failed math earlier and upgrade my claymore to +10. I then take out my frustration on reaching double-digit deaths by getting revenge on the titanite demon that killed me earlier, and I'm rewarded with some demon titanite. Now, back to the House of Fun. Enter the fortress, use the trap to kill the snake man, get to the bridge, past the pendulums, knock the snake man off the side, reach level above, take out caster, cross the small bridge, wait for the ball to pass, go to the right to reach the snake man, and oh, fuck. Okay, once more. Enter the fortress, use the trap to kill the snake man, get to the bridge, past the pendulums, knock the snake man off the side, reach the level above, take out the caster, cross the small bridge, wait for the ball to pass, go to the right to reach the snake man, and what? The snake men are already dead. Huh. Well, I'm not complaining. This allows us to reach another NPC, known as Siegmeyer of Katarina, otherwise known as the Onion Knight, who seems to be blocked in his path through the fortress by the balls. So, let's see if we can do anything to help him out. Now, it's time to start ascending again. I make my way up the ramp where the balls are coming from, pausing in any crevices to avoid being splattered. Eventually, I come to one with a fog wall, but I don't go through it straight away. No, first, this snake man grabs me and does
A lot of damage!
His big mistake, though, was not learning from the failures of his friend. Anyways, I go up the ramp a bit further to this room to find a chest that contains the Ring of Steel Protection. I equip it, and now I return to the fog wall and traverse it. In here, I hit the wall to draw the attention of the snake man in the room over. Once he's lined up, I then use the trap to take out a large chunk of his health. After, I finish him off. I then move forward to a doorway where more balls are passing by. Now, this run has always been hit or miss, but I wait for the ball to pass and leg it. And I get hit right at the end. But I don't die, which is good. Now here, we can change the direction the balls are rolling. And you remember that chilling snake man I said we'd deal with later? Well, dealt with. After this, I set the direction to send the balls falling out the window behind me. I then go back down the way I came, because there are some things I want to collect. I make it halfway down and drop down onto this platform to take out a cast snake man. Then I enter this doorway and pick up the Black Sorcerer set and the Sorcery Hush. I then open this door and come out into the middle pathway, the one we sent the solution to our chilling snake man problem down. And I follow it down to examine the damage. And there we go. No more snake man and no more wall. Sweet. In this room, we can find the legendary hero Big Hat Logan. He's found himself trapped in a cage. Thankfully, because we have the master key, it's pretty easy to free him. I then go a few cages down and use the master key again to receive the soul of a hero. I then proceed to open every other cage here, just because I can. Now, I head back up to the place where we set the direction of the balls, and this has always been something that annoys me. The direction will reset if you go too far back down in the fortress. Why? I have no freaking idea, but it does. Anyways, I make it back up, set the direction to send the balls out of the fortress, and then go all the way back down the path I came from. And annoyingly, this hole hasn't filled up, which is something I want it to do to get a very helpful farming item. So I go into this room right here. Now, in this room, an event happened that has changed the way that people have played games since. This is the location of the first mimic in Dark Souls. This chest is not a chest, but an evil monster that will try to eat you. There are small differences between this and a normal chest. If you look closely at it, you can see it breathe every so often, and the chain is placed slightly differently. Anyways, I buff my sword, give it a big old thwack, and a few hits later, the mimic falls, which rewards me with the lightning spear. I then take the elevator up, which I make sure to get off immediately at the top, because this is also a trap. The blood on the floor indicates that there are spikes at the top of the elevator, monster that will kill you if you dilly-dally. After this, I end up in the middle passageway for the ball. Head to the top and send a bunch of balls down the direction of the mimic entrance. After sending 5 or so balls down that direction, I set the balls to fly out the window again, make my way down to find the hole filled and the wall broken, allowing me to loot the covetous gold serpent ring, a ring that increases the souls dropped by enemies. So very useful for grinding. Now, I make my way back up, pause quickly while I wait for the contraption to annoyingly redirect itself, get back to the contraption room, and now it's time for the final stretch. I start down the small hallway, making sure to set off the trap before heading further. I then end up on a very narrow path with more pendulums, but make it across and find some more snake men. I manage to take out the first one, and then start taking out the caster one when a third snake man surprise attacks me. I don't die, but once again, I find myself out of Estus flasks. So I equip some humanity to my quick bar, because along with allowing you to access multiplayer features, you can also use humanity to heal, though not recommended as it is pretty rare. I then loot a large titanite shard and make my way up one more level. Here, I find the final balancing act, and along with the pendulums, there's a caster aiming at me. I sprint across, managing to avoid the pendulums, and make it to a fog wall. Now, I'm very near safety. I take a lift as soon as I come out, make my way up a few sets of stairs, pick up an item, and drop down this ledge to find one of the most sadistically placed bonfires in all the game. Like, I went quick here, but a giant will be hurling firebombs at you when you reach this area, so putting a lot of pressure on you. This is not an easy bonfire to find, but hey, we've made it. I level up once and go back out. I come back to where I traverse the fog wall. This time I take a right and go down a bunch of stairs, taking out some boulder knights along the way to find this chest and loot the flame stoneplate ring. After this, I go back to the landing where I dropped down to find the bonfire, but this time I continue forward and around, taking out this chunky knight before descending a ladder and coming to these stairs, where I face this gentleman, Ricard, taking him out without much trouble and looting his rapier. I then find 2 chests in the room he was guarding, one containing a ring of sacrifice and the other a divine blessing. Now I make my way back the way I came and go up a few more levels. I eventually find some cages that I can't open with my master key, but we'll sort that out in a second. First thing I'm going to do is take out the giant at the top of the fortress who's been throwing fireballs at me. I buff my sword, hit him a few times until he curls up in a ball, where I
execute him with no mercy,
rewarding me with a titanite chunk. Also, how strong is my roll to make these crumble like this? Anyways, I go back down a few levels until I come to this bridge. I'm going to try to make the jump, but a wise man once told me all gymnastics should be performed naked. So I take off all my armor, I line myself up, go for the run, and fall straight down. I don't die though, and I'm able to loot a sniper crossbow and some sniper bolts. Gotta love failing upwards.
How did you get up there?
I fell.
I make my way back up to the jump, line myself up again, and this time I'm able to make it. On the other side, I find a friendly merchant who politely tells me to give up. Geez, thanks man. Unfortunately for you, I'm stubborn. And now I'm not going to buy anything. So I make my way down the stairs and, intentionally, fall to the bottom. I equip my armor again to take on one more Snake Man caster who's protecting the cage key. I then use a homeward bone to teleport back to the last bonfire. Here, I pop a few souls to allow me to level up and then use a humanity to reverse hollowing. Now, it's time to head to the boss. I make my way up the path and come back to the cage that I couldn't open before. Using the newly found cage key, I open it, and this is a shortcut all the way back to the first bridge you come across when you enter Sen's fortress. No more dealing with all its tricks and traps. I immediately take the lift back up and make my way further up into the fortress. I then come to the boss fog wall. But before going through, I cross this bridge to find a room that contains the summon sign for Iron Tarkus. Once summoned, I head back to the fog wall, buff my sword, and go through. Here, we come face to face with the Iron Golem. He tries to hit me with a ranged attack, but I'm able to dodge it, rushing him with my buddy Tarkus. Then, horror! As the Iron Golem grabs me. I do get lucky, or the Golem gets stupid, as he throws me to the ground and not off the edge. I get back up and heal, and not long later, under the onslaught brought upon him, the Golem gets dazed, allowing us to get an easy kill and another first try LK. After taking out the Iron Golem, this weird glowy ring appears in the center of the arena. When I approach it, it prompts me to examine it. When I do, a cutscene plays where I'm kidnapped by some Batwing demons and taken above the wall to the gorgeous city of Anor Londo. They put me down, and I get another achievement. I then take a long walk down a set of stairs before going through a room with some giant doorways. And not much further after that, I find a small set of stairs that lead me to a bonfire room. Ugh, that was weird. Anyways, I rest at the bonfire and level up and... I feel like I'm remembering something, but what? I then go speak to this lady at the back of the room, and there we go. She's a Firekeeper. I can finally use that Firekeeper soul to level up my Estus. Oh my, how did I forget? My double-digit deaths may not stay double-digit for long if I don't think of a solution to those damned archers. But one of my broskies told me of a technique he used in his last playthrough, so it's time for... To start Operation Poison Arrow, we need to head back through Sen's fortress. I make my way back up the long stairs and find a Batwing demon who will fly me back down to the Iron Golem fight arena. I make my way to the cage shortcut, which I'm very happy I took the time to open right now, and take it down. I take out the snake man that's waiting for me at the bottom, and then make my way Okay, slight diversion, but I know my way out of here. I quickly switched to the rusted iron ring to avoid being slowed down by the train, because there are a bunch of Titanite demons down here. But that's okay. We've already taken out, and that's another death. Okay, let's try that again. Back up the long stairs, Batwing demon trip, down the elevator, take out the snake man, and again? Okay, you're not getting me this time. I've already got the ring equipped, and I'm able to make it to a ladder and climb out the pit. From here, I exit the fortress and make it to the Undead Parish bonfire. I then pay Andre a visit and upgrade my longbow to +8. After this, I head back to Firelink Shrine, where I realize I forgot to speak to one of the more peculiar looking NPCs in the game. Meet Kingseeker Frount. He appears when you ring the second bell of awakening. He also informs me that it's my duty to succeed Gwyn and continue the Age of Fire. I am sure there is no deception here in the slightest. I also find Big Hat Logan, who's now chilling in Firelink Shrine, where he calls me stupid in the nicest way possible. Anyways, back to the operation. I make my way up to the sewer that connects to Lower Undead Burg and find the merchant waiting at the end of it. I then pop a bunch of souls to allow me to purchase just under 200 arrows. Now, some of you may be thinking this is all a bit excessive, and to those people, hey there, I really appreciate you watching this far into a video on a game you haven't played. I then use a homeward bone to teleport back to the Undead Parish bonfire. Then I make my way back to the House of Fun, enter the fortress, use the trap to try again, enter fortress, use trap to kill snakemen, pass pensions, take elevator up, get back to the Ring of Light, go down a long stairs, and there we go. Operation Poison Arrow was a success. But what about the 2 deaths? Still less than what the archers would have added. Now we're prepped, it's time to make our way through the City of the Gods. We start by going straight out the bonfire room to this circle, which turns out to be an elevator. I take it down and go down the spiral staircase. Now, you remember the bell gargoyles from earlier? A boss that merited its own cutscene. Well, now there's one just waiting for me here. I managed to cut off its tail and take it out, rewarding me with the gargoyle's helm and the gargoyle's halberd. I then turn around and drop down this ledge to go behind the building I just came out of. This allows me to find a chest containing some more demon titanite. I then turn around and go through the Smough archway to drop onto this platform. This allows me to ascend and drop onto this balcony. From here, I'm able to enter the upper levels of a chapel through this broken window, and this is where I come across my next selection of adversaries, the Painting Guardians. But they're quite squishy, so not that big of a problem. I then climb a ladder to find myself on the rafters of the building. I advance cautiously until this Painting Guardian comes for me.
No! Don't jump! Okay, no jump!
I then make it to this chain holding up a giant chandelier, which I cut, because there's nothing like some good old-fashioned property damage while visiting a new place. Another guardian slips to his death on my way forward, and then I come to the last one who seems to have found the hack for unlimited throwing knives. Well, until I take him out, then he's only got 2 left. I finish my journey across the rafters and ascend a ladder that brings me to a fog wall. I traverse it and end up at a weird tower with a lever in the middle. Pushing it triggers a cutscene where the tower lowers to complete the bridge where we fought the last gargoyle. Another gargoyle then turns up, but a plunging attack and a few hits later, and they're easily taken out, rewarding me with the gargoyle shield. I then leave the rotating tower and ascend this staircase, where I find 2 sentinels at the top, which I run past, and to the right, where I draw the aggro of some Batwing demons. This may have been a mistake, however, as they force me to perform a tactical advance backwards, but the demons follow me far enough where I'm able to isolate them and take them out. I then sprint past the sentinel once again, to where I drew the aggro of the Batwing demons, and then take a left down this small path. We're just about there. The moment of truth. The platform at the bottom has 2 Batwing demons waiting on it, but I make sure to take them out while using the pillars to stay in cover. I then equip my longbow and the poison arrows. It is time to charge the enemy. I race up the ramp while taking enemy fire, but I make it to cover. I then slowly peek out and try to line up my shot. It takes a few attempts, some arrows going straight into the wall in front of my face, but then the sweet spot. And a few arrows later, the archer's health starts trickling down. Now we wait.
A few minutes later.
There we go. There's still an archer on the left side, but we're just gonna leg it. I run up the pathway and take an immediate right, and then follow the ledge around and drop down to this balcony. We made it! Not this time, archers! This is how I'm going to do it on every playthrough from now on. I traverse the fog wall on the balcony and open the first door to the left, giving us the greatest reward for taking out the archers. And what's this?
If I didn't know better, I'd think you had feelings for me.
Solaire, stop! Not in front of the people. I then light and rest quickly at the bonfire, and notice that I'm pretty close to leveling up, so I leave the room and enter the one opposite me. Inside, I find a silver knight and take it out with a backstab, and then find a chest containing some sunlight medals. I then rest up the bonfire to respawn the knight and murder them again to get the souls required to level up. After this, I take a left upon leaving the room and take down a sword-wielding silver knight. I then open the door on the left to what looks like an empty room, but we know how Dark Souls works at this point, so I hit the wall in the fireplace to reveal a staircase into a dark room containing a bunch of chests, but
one of these things is not like the other.
I take out the imposter and loot an occult club. I then open all the other chests to loot Havel's armor. Yeah, that Havel. And this has always been one of my favorite bits of environmental storytelling, because the occult club does increased damage against the gods, and is hidden away in this hidden area. Was Havel planning a rebellion against the gods? Was someone trying to frame Havel by placing all the items here to be found? Was it the big H himself, or one of his knights? We don't know, but just the way these items are placed gets you thinking. Anyways, I leave the hidden room and head back into the main hallway. I then take the spiral staircase up. At the top, I take out not 1, but 2 sussy chests. The second one rewarding me with the symbol of avarice. I then go open this door where a silver knight very rudely puts me up against a wall and penetrates my body with his long stick.
Well, that was a dumb death. I made my way back to that knight and tell him that if he wants to do things like that, he has to at least buy me dinner first. He disagrees, so I disagree with his life. I then loot the soul of the hero located in the same room. I then make my way to the other side of the hall and take out this archer. After this, I open this door and find myself in a very nice looking bedroom where the Dark Souls community shows that it is filled with people of culture.
Yeah, boy.
Upon leaving the room, another knight tries to ambush me and fails. I then make my way up the stairs and into this outside area where I draw the aggro of the silver knight located on the other side. Once he's been dealt with, I make my way back up and outside and down the staircase where that knight came from to find the glorious Onion Knight, who has found himself in another pickle. The room next to him is filled with mobs he can't take out. Well, I guess we can help out. I open the door and, oh god, okay, backwards. I lure the knight all the way back to where I took out the last two knights. I then return to the Knight of Katarina and use my bow to lure out the second silver knight. Repeat the process used for the first one, and then successfully go on the offensive for the remaining knight. I'm then rewarded with 2 demon titanite from a chest in the room and the tiny beings ring from Sigmar. I also open this door back to the hallway we just came from. Now it's back upstairs to the outside area. I rush the knight blocking my path, and a backstab and a swing later, I'm able to advance down this spiral staircase and straight forward to enter the large room. I go down the stairs when
the black eye orb started quivering. The spineless murderer I was searching for must be nearby.
But we'll deal with that in a minute. First thing, I drop down to the ground level and use this lever to open the front door to the cathedral. After this, I sprint to the opposite side of the room and ascend these stairs. I run past the silver knight on my way up and go all the way up to the upper level where I find another broken window. Might want to fix these guys. You're gonna get a draft, or worse. A murderous undead who's been told it's their destiny to kill the strongest beings in the land in order to consume their power and perpetuate an unnatural cycle of life. Coming through. I go out the window and drop down these ledges where I loot the Dragon Slayer great bow and a Dragon Slayer arrow. I then drop down once more where a Batwing demon jumps me and adds another death to the death counter. Okay, so this time I speed past all the enemies, and when I come outside to the clearing, I go down the spiral staircase, I go into the room to the right and make my way down to the bottom to open a door that I could have used as a shortcut last time if I had opened this. Anyways, I stop quickly at the bonfire and then come back to that room and face off against the knights inside, and then loot 2 chests that contain the Silver Knight armor set. I then make my way back up to the large room where we dropped out the window, but this time I decide to take the stairs down instead. On the opposite side of the room from where we entered, we can find a staircase that leads all the way down to this big guy, the giant blacksmith. This guy can be used to upgrade regular +10 weapons into boss weapons by infusing them with the boss souls that we receive when we defeat a boss. But we can't do that right now, so I leave the room and take out the Batwing demons outside. I then open this shortcut back to the entrance. I then finish clearing out the demons and loot a titanite chunk. Annoyingly, my death stain didn't spawn down here, so I go back up to the building to collect them. After this, I make my way all the way back to the first bonfire I found in Anor Londo. I level up here, but the main reason I came back here is it gives me a natural 10 Estus flasks.
My investigation has led me to Anor Londo, specifically to a large cathedral located in Anor Londo. The black eye orb started quivering when I passed through earlier, looking for clues. I make my way to the cathedral, ready to confront the murderer. I make sure to perch myself up high before using the black eye orb, safely out of the reach of anyone who would want to stop my investigation. As the orb transports me to the world of the guilty, I contemplate what I'm about to come up against. I spawn in, and there he is, the foul beast. So, he and his associates haven't seen me yet, so I think about how I could level the playing field before confronting them. The poison arrows seem like the best bet. I line up the shot and...
I'm sorry guys, I need to break character for this. When I did this in my playthrough, I was hoping to poison one of them at least, before they reached me and I would have to fight them. What actually happened was, I poisoned the first guy, and none of them aggroed. And I wasn't about to give up this opportunity to use some good old-fashioned cheese. Though...
One eternity later.
It took a few minutes before the first one dropped. And then the second. But for Lautrec, I decided to poison him, but I wanted to stare into his eyes as he takes his last breath. So I charge him with my sword, and a few minutes later, we have our vengeance. Upon returning to my world, I'm rewarded with the soul of the Firekeeper and the Ring of Favor and Protection, or more affectionately known as the Fap Ring. This ring boosts my health, stamina, and equip load while equipped, but it breaks if you ever take it off. With my increased equip load, I decided that my Power Ranger training is complete. It's time for some new clothes. After comparing all the armor I picked up so far, this is the combination I decided to go with highest defense stats while still allowing me to light roll. And the biggest win of all, yes. Miyazaki would be proud. Now, you might think it's time for the next boss, but there's one more thing I want to do before. I love Quaelag's Fury Sword. I used this on my first ever playthrough and haven't gone a playthrough since without at least making it. So that's what I'm going to do now. To make this weapon, you firstly need to get a curved sword to +10. For this, we'll be using the Pating Guardian Sword. I purchased 11 Titanite shards from the giant blacksmith and then used them to upgrade my sword to +5. Problem now is, he can't upgrade it to +6. Only Andre, because he's got the large ember count. So I make my way all the way back through Anor Londo, then Sense Fortress, then to the man himself. But I made a mistake. I've got to buy some large Titanite shards before leaving. But that's okay. I have an idea. For this, I need to make my way back to Fire Firelink Shrine. So I go through the church, down the elevator, and go speak to Frampt. If I feed him a Titanite chunk, he'll separate it into 3 large Titanite shards. Awesome. And while I'm here, I also go speak to Sigmar. He gives me the miracle Emit Force. And then I also go to the lower level of the shrine to bring the Firekeeper back to life.
Case closed.
Now, I've been streaming for over 10 hours at this point, so fatigue is starting to kick in, and I homeward bone all the way back to Anor Londo. I don't want to do that. So back through Sense Fortress we go, and back to Andre. Awesome. I upgrade my sword to +6, and then once more to +7 before homeward boning back to Anor Londo. Intentionally this time. I then make my way back to the giant blacksmith, where I pop 2 souls of a hero to purchase enough large Titanite shards to upgrade my sword to +10. I then pop another 5k souls to afford the upgrade to Quaylag's Fury Sword, and then all my remaining souls to afford to upgrade it to +3 with the demon Titanite I've been collecting. But after all that, just look at this. If you don't think this sword is cool, we can't be friends. It literally leaves a trail of fire when you swing it. I also equip Havel's Helm, as I still have a bit of weight available before reaching the light roll limit. And Havel's armor has some great stats. Okay, now it's time to take on a boss that's probably made more people permanently rage quit a game that they were invested in than any other boss in gaming. We start at the first Anor Londo bonfire, where I accidentally reversed hollowing without switching my screen back to the game. But yeah, as you can see, I've now restored my humanity. So I make my way down the main path in Anor Londo, but instead of going through the main doors to the cathedral, I take the left path past the giant blacksmith. That's because there's someone we need to pick up. I also used the stairs to beat the Batwing demons, in the same way you'd beat a Dalek pre-7th Doctor. I then make my way to the main room when, oh no. Okay, so quick explanation. Because Dark Souls never gives you anything for free, even asking for help comes with risks. When I reverse hollowing to be able to summon an NPC, other players can invade my world to make my life that little bit harder. That's the case with Super Watson here, though credit where credit is due. Fair play to him for accurately recreating himself in the game. You fat Yeah, he killed me, bringing my deaths up to 16. We did contemplate whether invasion deaths counted towards the counter on stream, but my brother Quack pointed out if I didn't want to deal with the invasions, I should have played offline. Okay, let's try that again. I shouldn't have to worry about being invaded again, as there's a 10-minute internal cooldown that prevents it from happening again too soon. So I reverse hollowing, make it back to the cathedral, take out the Silver Knight, and of course, the best NPC in the game would be a summon for the hardest boss in the game. We love you, Soler. I then run to the fog wall at the back of the room and traverse it, where a cutscene plays introducing Executioner Smough and Dragon Slayer Ornstein. Wait. I've actually found a more lore-accurate cinematic online.
To stop all who enter and make them eat shit. To never show mercy, not even for a bit.
Yep, that's about right. Here, I leave Soler to deal with Ornstein while I focus on the Fat Man, who goes down without hitting me once. Now it's time for the second phase. Depending on which of the two you take out first, you get a different superpowered version of the remaining one. You also get all the health back. Smough is widely considered to be the easier one to face in the second phase. So why did I choose to take on Super Ornstein instead? Especially when I'm trying to keep my death slow? Well, you just get cooler stuff from doing it. Ornstein's Soul, which allows you to make his spear, the ability to purchase his armor, which is a very cool looking set, I must say, and the Leo ring. The second phase starts, and all seems to be going well until Soler! No! Nah, I think Soler's death may have thrown me off a little bit, because after this, I completely forget how to do this fight. You're supposed to get up close and under the legs, and roll out whenever Ornstein goes for a butt slam attack. But I seem to forget this, and kept my distance, as my opponent slowly whittled down my healing reserve, until, yeah, let's hear that ding. I can't lie, this actually got to me. This boss had been imprinted into my DNA, so this death hurt far more than any other. But you know, just gotta get back up. I respawn back at the bonfire, reverse hollowing, I make it to Soler's summon sign, and now we've got the crew together, it's time for round 2. I traverse the fog wall, and Ornstein does his signature dash forward. I dodge it and leave Soler to deal with him. I'm once again able to take out Smough without taking a hit. The cutscene plays, and we start off the second phase strong. This time I remember to keep under my opponent, and we slowly but surely whittle down Ornstein's health, when Soler! No, not again! Is this how it's going to be? Should I just lay down and die? No, his death will not be in vain. I will end you, Dragon Slayer! Having now conquered the terrible duo, I made my way to the back of the room to take an elevator up to the upper levels. Up here, I take a small detour to the back of the room to loot Lautrec's armor set. That is only found here if you kill him in that 1v3. I then make my way back to where the elevators are to find this bonfire, where I take a moment to spend my souls and level up. Now, I find one of the most iconic player messages in the series. I knew this was going to be here. Throughout the games, there are the usual messages you find, such as try jumping in front of a bottomless pit, the one we saw earlier in front of the painting, and sometimes some actual useful ones, such as pointing out invisible walls. But this one is the truest message ever. Amazing chest ahead. But what could that mean? Well, I open the door and, oh, I see what you mean. Ow, ow, ow. Okay, I'll stop. This is Guinevere, daughter of Gwyn, and she's very happy to see me. So much so that she gives me the Lord Vessel, an item that will let me walk between bonfires, fast travel, and another achievement unlocked. I then speak to her again to unlock the achievement for discovering the Princess Guard Covenant, but I don't join it. We're going to be working on that Chaos Servant Covenant pretty soon. I leave the chamber, and I equip the Helm of Favor before warping back to Firelink Shrine. I then speak to Frampt, who gets a little too excited about me having collected the Lord Vessel. He then decides to eat me. There we go, end of game. Nah, not really. He just transports me to the Firelink altar, where I make my way forward, and I'm prompted to place the Lord Vessel on a pedestal, triggering one of the coolest cutscenes in the game. Honestly, the amount of rewards you get, both gameplay-wise with warping, and visually... Oh, okay, I'll stop. Really makes you feel amazing the first time you manage to take out Ornstein Smough. The game also opens up in multiple different paths to go down now, with a cutscene showing a bunch of different light walls dissipating. So, which way are we headed now? Our mission is to collect the 4 Lord Souls required to fill the Lord Vessel and reach the final area of the game. The bosses that possess these Lord Souls are the characters mentioned in the opening cinematic, and they're located behind the walls of light that have just dissipated. There's also the DLC route we could go down, and a few other optional areas. Now, while in my opinion, Dark Souls is an absolute masterpiece of a game with absolutely zero flaws, there are a few flaws. One of those is the area we're going to be going through next. I'm not going to list off the issues this area has, just know that it was rushed to get the game out to release, and the game's director has even expressed regret with how it came out. Anyways, because the Lord Vessel is also a bonfire now, we can use it to warp to the next area, and that's going to be the Daughter of Chaos bonfire. You remember that one from after fighting Quelaag? Yeah, I told you it was going to come in useful later. I teleport there, but I don't make my way forward just yet. No, now it's time for one of the most important missions in any playthrough.
Smough is in danger. To save him and his sanity, we must donate 30 humanity to the Chaos Servant's Covenant before he finds the Sunlight Maggot. It is our mission. Capra demons, stone demons, Taurus demons, burrowing rockworm, fire sage demon, you will not halt my path.
Sunbros, go up with the guys.
What is a sunlight? Chaos Servants!
Sunbros, so there will not die.
I wage my battle to preserve the forces of jolly cooperation.
Sunbros.
Nice. Now that we've killed the bug that dropped the Sunlight Maggot Helm, Solaire's life is safe. Here's the thing. If you kill the upcoming boss before killing the maggot, you'll come through this corridor to find Solaire having lost his sanity, forcing you to take him out, which will not happen on one of my playthroughs. And the helm's also going to be useful later. Now, I make my way further down the corridor and past this Titanite demon, which, just as an FYI, is the only one that respawns, just in case you want to farm demon Titanite. I skip past it to the end of the corridor, where, after taking out a group of stone demons, I make my way up this route and these stairs, where I come face to face with another of Quelaag's siblings. I take her out without much issue. That's when I'm invaded by Kirk for the 3rd time, as I took him out the 2nd time during my mission to save Solaire. I'm able to beat him fairly easily, and with that, I have the 3 kills required to loot his arm, and he also dropped a generous amount of souls. So I homeward bone back to the Daughter of Chaos bonfire, and I'll be honest, I completely forgot that Ingi, this little guy, could upgrade my Pyromancy Flame, which I want to do as one of the rewards for reaching rank 2 in the Chaos Servants Covenant is the Chaos Storm Pyromancy, which, while not the best, is objectively cool. Anyways, I warped to Firelink Shrine to chat to Laurentius when he asked if I'd be willing to share where I got this cool pyromancy. I said yes. I regret this, and now we shall never return to Blighttown. If you know, you know. I then used the souls I acquired from Kirk to level up my pyromancy flame to +9. After this, I teleport back to the Daughter of Chaos bonfire and collect my reward for killing Kirk all 3 times. The Armor of Thorns. Now, it's time to face off against the worst boss in Souls. I make my way back to where we killed Kirk and traverse the fog wall. I then enjoy a nice slide down into this giant chamber. I start the encounter by taking a left and running to this side of the room, where I break some branches and hit this root, which triggers a cutscene of the Bed of Chaos growing a giant firearm. Now, I know I said I don't know any elite speedrunning strats, and I don't, but I do know this. This is the only boss in Dark Souls that doesn't reset when you die. So that tree root is now permanently killed, and thank Gwyn for that too. So here, I quit to the main menu and load back in, which sends me back to the fog wall, which I traverse again and slide back down. This time, we head to the right. The floor is starting to fall apart. Another thing now is that the Bed of Chaos is going to be doing wide sweeping attacks trying to push you into these holes, and yeah. Yep, the real boss here is Gravity, my immortal enemy. When I respawn, I make my way back down towards the fog wall, killing all the sunlight sunlight maggots along the way, as they have a chance to drop sunlight medals. Once I get back to the fog wall, I traverse it, slide down, and head right again. I make it back to the fog wall, slide down, and after a close call, make it to the roots on the right side. I take them out and get another cutscene, where another flaming arm pops out. I quit the game and reload, and then slide back down and push towards the middle of the room. I trigger the floor to fall away in the middle, and then sprint to make a jump. I managed to land it first try, and sprint with every fiber of my body to the end of the passage. I then roll through a bunch of branches to find this bug, which I hit once, emptying the boss's health bar. And with that, the worst boss has been vanquished. And we've collected the first of the 4 Lord Souls, and unlocked another achievement. Before warping out of the boss room, using the bonfire that spawned in, I level up a few times, but I don't use all the souls, because I then warp to the Daughter of Chaos bonfire to upgrade my pyromancy flame with Ingi. Now, the next place we're headed is filled with the undead, but not the sort of undead like me and the hollows we've been facing. No, these are a more traditional kind of undead, that don't die unless they're smited down with the power of God. Or more specifically, a divine weapon. So we're gonna visit Mr. Gigachad to downgrade a weapon. You remember that occult club that we looted back in Anor Londo? Well, if you downgrade it once, it becomes a divine club +5, which, while limited on range, will be useful for keeping the enemies we're about to face dead. After this, I walk back to Firelink Shrine and drop down here to go do some armor shopping. Now, it's time to venture into darkness. I make my way past Frampt, waking him up for sleeping on the job, and make it to this graveyard filled with skeletons, which has probably been a major cause for people not getting into this game, due to being able to come here as soon as you arrive in Lordran, and the fact that the skeletons come back to life a few moments after you empty their health bar. Thankfully, we have the Divine Club, so they just die normally. I take the time to loot the items scattered about before entering this cave. Not far in, well...
Hey, who turned out the lights?
But this time, we have the Sunlight Maggots, that if you equip as a helm, reduces a light source. Now, we're pretty equipped for all the tricks this area has to play on us. I make my way forward until I find this broken wall, which I go down to find my first Necromancer. These guys cause the skeletons to respawn in the local area, but they don't respawn themselves once killed, even after resting at a bonfire, so it's a good idea to go out of your way to take them out. I also find a bonfire in this room, and a lever to open a door on the main part. This brings me to an open waterfall area. I make my way forward and cross a bridge when I see another Necromancer, who starts to flee. I chase after him, but got quite a following along the way, which forces me to retreat to take out the skeletons, some of which realize the futility of their efforts and decide to do my work for me. I then continue forward until I come back out to the cliffside again, and a bridge that has been rotated to be unusable. I follow this path around the cliffside until I find another lever, which rotates the bridge back. I make my way back and across it, and take out a Necromancer waiting for me on the other side. But I don't enter the doorway. Instead, I jump off the bridge and into an area below, which allows me to get to this ladder, which I ascend and find another lever waiting at the top. I then return to where I landed and find a usable bridge that leads to a fog wall. I traverse it and make my way down the stairs, where I see a pretty flimsy looking wall. I hit it once and knock it down, and drop into this area. I make my way forward, where a giant skeleton tries to ambush me. Though, through the power of the divine, they fall, and I'm able to loot the Dark Moon Seance Ring. After this, I find another broken wall and make my way through it, and start ascending, where I find and take out another Necromancer, and go up a ladder to find the miracle Tranquil Walk of Peace. I then stand here to fall through a hole that brings me back to the beginning of the area. I make my way all the way back down to where I knocked down that wall, and to avoid fighting a group of skeletons, I make a risky jump. That I land, you will not get me today, gravity. I then enter this dark room filled with coffins, where I decide to take a quick nap. Okay, now back to it. And then I find another broken wall which leads to this big pit. I take the ladder down, avoiding falling into the holes in the floor, and go down one more ladder, where I take out a Necromancer and his bodyguards. This lets me exit into the lowest levels of the catacombs. Now here, we'll find a stupidly deadly enemy, the Wheel Skeleton. As I walk out, one attacks me, I fall back, and... he falls straight through the map geometry. Huh. Okay. Well, then another one attacks me, and... same again. Not bad. Now, I'm not sure if this is a common bug, but I am not complaining. After this, I start making my way forward, where I try going slowly and taking out the wheel skeletons. But when a black knight appears, and I realize I'm doing very little damage with my club, I decide to leg it. I run down this narrow path and make it to a fog wall, narrowly avoiding a wheel skeleton that chased me down. I take it out, heal up, and traverse the fog. I then drop down into this giant coffin where a cutscene plays. Meet Pinwheel, widely considered to be the easiest boss in the game. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
And it's gone.
Giving us another first try LK, and we get another achievement.
What? What? What?
Yep, it happened. A huge shout out to Dan Lenton, who came in with a massive donation, pushing us over the 1K mark. And, well, you know what happens next. Goodbye. It's been a pleasure working with you. Bye.
Praise the sun baby! Praise the sun baby! Praise the sun baby! Praise the sun baby!
hair in my mouth.
Praise the sun baby! Praise the sun baby!
Got a big bucket full of hair, guys. There we go. All hair removed. But that's not entirely the end of it, because if we reach 1.5k, the beard will go as well. But let's see if that happens. Anyways, back to the run. Now, with my fresh trim, it's time to get back to the game. And what better way to start up again than killing death itself? I pick up the Mask of the Child dropped by Pinwheel. Unfortunately, not the one we wanted. I then take the ladder out the arena and sprint past all the enemies. I then slide down a bunch of coffins to reach this ladder, which I descend to find a place to rest. After resting at the bonfire, I then make my way back up the ladder and meet this friendly fellow, Patches. He asks if we're a cleric. Nah, mate. This time I went for a strength build. He seems happy about this and then tells me about some treasure down below. I decide to take a look when... what?
Et tu, Brute? Am I using that right?
I trusted him. Well, nothing to do but pick ourselves up and loot the treasure about. I then find Rhea of Thorland, the lady from my investigation into Lautrec. She informs me I should watch out for her companions, as they've gone hollow. I find them and take them out. When I find Rhea again, she gives me the miracle replenishment as thanks. After this, I find my way out of the pit by hitting this invisible wall. I make a quick trip back up to the bonfire to replenish my Estus flask, and then make my way to confront Patches. He asks me to forgive him though, which I do. I can't stay mad at you, buddy. Just too iconic. I then try legging it to the next bonfire. I traverse this fog wall along the way, and then get taken out by a giant skeleton on all fours. Well, I respawn and make my way back up, picking up my souls and panic dropping to find my way down. Thankfully, I see these player messages down below, which gives me an idea of where to land. I also pick up the covetous silver serpent ring, which turns out to be an ambush.
It's a trap!
I panic drop a few more times, which brings me to where I need to go for the boss. But I know that I missed a bonfire, so I turn around and make my way back up into the darkness. I nearly get taken out by some skeleton dogs, but manage to make it out alive, and then eventually find the bonfire. I then make my way back down and fall off the ledge in panic. Now, I am able to make it back to my bloodstain and pick up my souls, but then I realize I want to reverse hollowing for what's coming up next. So, I homeward bone back to the bonfire, level up, and forget to reverse hollowing before leaving again. The fatigue is growing stronger. I remember this on my way back down, so I homeward bone again and remember to do it this time. Now, I make my way back down proper and move forward down this path, where I'm invaded by... Dragons! And I can finally show you the awesomeness that is Chaos Storm. This does cause Leroy to fall off the side, and now I can't lose his items, unfortunately. But hey, that's okay. I then make my way into this cave where some bone towers try to slow my advance. They fail, and I'm able to make it to the next room, where a bunch of pinwheel-looking mobs start shooting fireballs at me. I run past all of them and make it to the fog wall. I traverse it, then drop down into this hole. This triggers a cutscene showing Nito, the first of the dead, coming out of his coffin. Now, this fight has a few tricks to catch you off guard. One of them is that when you drop down, you will take some full damage. Do not heal on the spot. Nito has an attack called the Gravelord Dance that has a sword come out of the ground wherever you're standing and deal some big damage, as seen here. Nito also has a bunch of skeletons that reform, unless killed by a divine weapon. So out comes the club again, and I focus on taking out all of the skeletons that are helping Nito. I do end up running out of Estus flasks while doing this. I just kept getting hit by the Gravelord Dance, okay? Thankfully, Nito isn't that hard without backup. So once all the skeletons are dealt with, I switch back to my Claymore and only get hit once more before taking him out, giving us another first try LK and rewarding us with another achievement, and more importantly, a second Lord Soul. The first thing I do after killing Nito is loot the Paladin armor off of this corpse. This spawns because we sent Paladin Leroy flying off the edge. Well, it would have spawned if he had stayed on the side. But point is, he's dead. I then level up at the bonfire that spawned and warp to Anor Londo. I also swap out the Sunlight Maggot helm for the Paladin helm. Now I'm going to make my way to an optional area instead of going for another Lord Soul. The reason for this is, it has one of my favorite grinding spots in the game. Not that we're going to need it right now, but it'll be nice to have the option. So I make my way to the staircase tower and make my way down to the lower level, where I enter a giant chamber filled with painting guardians. I sprint to the opposite side of the room, and because we picked up the peculiar doll in our second trip to the Undead Asylum, I'm able to interact with this giant painting, which triggers a cutscene on my character being pulled into the painted world of Ariamis. I spawn on a wooden bridge and make my way forward, where I find a bonfire. Now, just a quick fun fact, this area was the first one designed for the game. The more you know. Anyways, I make my way forward from the bonfire, where I'm forced to go right and up a set of stairs, taking out hollows along the way. I then make my way up to the top of a building, pick up some souls, and drop down onto this ledge, rewarding me with twin humanities. I then make my way through this house and cross a bridge into this building. I also make sure to cut this rope holding a corpse. I then run through the house and up the stairs, where after a quick jump, find some more souls, and a ladder leading to a hidden area containing a chest that holds the painting guardian armor. I then go back up to the house and exit, and a short way ahead, I enter a coliseum at the center center of the painted world, and I make my way up the stairs within. On my way up, I face my first harpy, and I'm able to beat it before the engorged hollows I'd been running from caught up with. I then make my way to the top of the staircase, where I pick up the red signed soapstone. I then make my way all the way down, back out, and around the Colosseum to get to the ground floor level. But my way is blocked by more engorged hollows. I try rolling past, which fails, so I then attack. And then I'm reminded why I knew I shouldn't do this. It causes toxic. I retreat and heal the status condition. I'm then able to circumvent the hollows and make my way to the ground level, where I find a fog wall and traverse. I then come out into this courtyard. I then sprint my way through the courtyard to open this door and come out to where I found the bonfire at the beginning. I rest up quickly and then make my way back into the courtyard, where I take a right to loot some items and then get invaded by King Jeremiah, who I take out with ease, and I'm able to loot his whip. Kinky. Now, I make a quick stop at my grinding zone, which is this collection of blobs known as phalanxes. They move slowly and reward a decent amount of souls, and Chaos Storm takes out a bunch of them in one hit. Like I said though, I'm not here to grind, I'm just unlocking it just in case I need it. So I then pop up these stairs and collect this item, and then return to the bonfire to level up. So now I make my way back into the courtyard and find this well which has a ladder in. I make my way down and, oh no, they're here too. I take out the wheel skeleton, pop around the corner and, wait, what? You're not usually down here. Well, I showed you my solution to the phalanxes upstairs, so here we go. I then go through the tunnels, and removing some invisible walls, I find the annex key. I then make my way into this large room to turn this handle, which shows a shortcut scene of a statue spinning around, which opens a door. Now it's time for a mad dash to the exit. I make it to this ladder, but I can't escape the wheel skeletons, so that's another death added. Now, I did have a bunch of soft humanity on me when I died, but I don't want to deal with wheel skeletons anymore, so I just leave it down there and run straight down the path that's been opened. This brings me to a fog wall with a proper optional boss. This is Crossbreed Priscilla. Now, she is a proper boss, with a boss soul for making weapons, a tail to cut off for a unique dagger, and an achievement for killing her. But you can go through this whole area and not kill her, which I actually did this playthrough. I came here to open a farming spot, not kill one of the few non-hostile creatures in the game. But hey, don't be disappointed. I have another top tier message here for you. So, to leave the painted world, I just walk past Priscilla and up to this ledge, where a cutscene plays of my character jumping into the void. Nah, I joke. I just end up back in front of the painting. And from here, I make my way back up to the Anor Londo bonfire. From here, I leave the room and go left. I run through the legs of this sentinel and up these stairs to get to this hallway, where I find another one of the armored boars all the way back from the Undead Parish. So this time, I don't have a fire pit to lure them into. But I do have a fire sword. That still doesn't do much damage. But the boar can't leave this hallway, so after a bit of cheese usage, it eventually falls. I make my way forward, where another boar is waiting for me. This time, I take it on in a room with a severe lack of cheese, just using the pillars as protection. This one falls as well, rewarding me with a fangboar helmet, which was guaranteed. If there's a group of enemies that don't respawn, yet have unique drops, if you kill the last one, it's guaranteed to drop that unique item. I then light the bonfire located within the room, rest up, make my way up to this elevator and pull this lever, where I'm confronted by these crystal soldiers. Now these little guys do a lot of damage, but I'm able to take them out. Then I attack this crystal golem at the back of the room, because they drop an item required to access the DLC, so wait, what? Where's the broken pendant? Ugh. Okay, well I guess it's time for... Okay, so to get the item I need, I have a few steps to go through. I walk to the Undead Parish, and then make my way down through Darkroot Garden to the bonfire where I convinced that one Black Knight in to see if he took fall damage, and set my spawn there. After this, I make my way towards the tower where I fought Havel, where I find a bunch of crystal golems, similar to the one I fought hoping to find the broken pendant. I take them out, all while taking fire from this Hydra in the distance. That Hydra is our next target. But as people should know, to kill a Hydra, you need to cut off all of its heads, which, even if Dark Souls is an absolute masterpiece of a game with zero flaws, one of its flaws is that this is pretty tedious to do. You need to avoid all of its ranged missiles, and wait for it to lunge at you with all its heads, and then you're able to cut one off. Rinse and repeat for all the heads. Oh, and the water has a barely visible bottomless pit within, which I know about, so should be gravity! Thankfully, I was only killed once by the bottomless pit before managing to take out the Hydra, which is probably a record for me. I'm also rewarded with a dragon scale and the Dusk Crown ring for the kill, and I'm able to loot the Knight set. Now, we're not quite done just yet, and while the last step isn't that hard, I'm also out of Estus flasks, so I homeward bone quickly, then I equip the rusted iron ring, and make my way back to where I killed the Hydra, and traverse the water to get to this cave, where I find a golden crystal golem. I kill it, and out pops a fair maid. This is Dusk, and she says she's from a different time and offers to teach me special sorceries, which I accept, and then she disappears. I get back to the Duke's archives and go up the elevator. I face off against the crystal soldiers and... these deaths are getting more and more preventable. Let's try that again. This time, I managed to take them out and kill the crystal golem, who drops the broken pendant.
Great success.
Now I make my way into the archives proper and clear out the mobs on the lower level before making my way up the stairs and taking an elevator up, where I come face to face with the crystal knight. Now I equip a ring of sacrifice. Why? Well, while my regular deaths are getting more and more preventable, this one is not. And the ring of sacrifice allows you to keep all your souls upon death. I make my way up the stairs, traverse the fog wall, and come face to face with Seath the Scaleless, and wait for him to kill me. I then respawn in a completely new location, locked locked in this cell, but it does contain a bonfire, which I used to level up. Now, how are we going to break out of here? Well, the Stinkman leaning against my cell has very low HP, so when I kill him, he's thankfully holding the key to our cell. I'm really good at these prison breaks. I open the cell, which triggers a cutscene of a Stinkman pulling a lever. This causes some music to play, where these weird blue monsters, known as Priskas, come out of their cell. Now, in lore, it's believed that these are some of Seath's experiments, and they were once but fair maidens, but not anymore. And they're apparently so terrifying that the Stinkmen on the stairs don't even stop to fight me, but just run away. Yeah, that's pretty much what would happen if a Souls player spoke to a woman. I run to the ground level and past the blue blobs. This is one case where I don't love blue, but these fair maidens must now be the bit. I climb this ladder and pull the lever to turn off the music, which calms down the Priskas. I then open the chest at the back of the room and collect the Archive Tower giant door key. I then run back up the stairs and rest quickly at the bonfire, before making my way further up and up a ladder to open this giant door with the key we just picked up. I then make my way further down the path and back into the main area of the archive, where I immediately get one shot by this channel. I go through the process again and make it back to the giant room, retrieve my souls, and get revenge on the channel. I then take the stairs down to the lower levels of the room to light and rest at this bonfire. From here, I make my way back up the stairs and into the room next to me to find a staircase that I can rotate by turning the handle in the middle. I then make my way to the top level of the staircase and back into the first room I came into, where I drop down onto another staircase and run to the upper level again, past the channeler, and find a chest containing the sorcery Strong Magic Shield. I then go back to the staircase and rotate it. This time, I don't run past the channeler and suffer the consequences. I try that again, making my way to the upper levels, going to the staircase, spinning it, going to the top level, dropping down, spinning the staircase again, but this time I go straight down and come to this room where I find an archer firing upon me. I take the ladder down and pull a lever to unlock a passageway back to the bonfire. After resting quickly, I go back through the passageway and pull a lever to reveal this staircase. I make my way down and through a fog wall, which brings me to the garden area, where I find another golden crystal golem. I take it on and get ambushed by a crystal soldier. These deaths aren't bothering me that much. I still have a decent buffer between me and my 100 deaths limit. I just hope I'm not going to regret saying that. I make my way back to the garden, this time killing the mimic along the way, and also this time I'm able to kill the golem. And out pops Siegland, daughter of Siegmeyer of Katarina, who's come out looking for him. She asks if I've seen him, and I say yes. Now I descend into the crystal cave. The gimmick here being that there are invisible bridges you need to cross to make it to the boss, but you can tell where they are by the snowflakes falling on them. It's also a pretty simple route, but the first time through it can cause some major anxiety. I cross the last bridge and come to this room with some weird clam things. I run past them and into the next room, where a cutscene plays of Seath rocking up to protect his primordial crystal, from which he gains his immortality. The fight begins, and I run over to the crystal and break. Now, I want to get to the back of Seath to cut off his tail, as it grants the Moonlight Greatsword, a weapon that's been in just about all of the From Software games. But, well, I end up getting smushed in my attempt. And because the fight is easiest on the first attempt, I decide I'll come back here in a bit, and just go start progress on the next area. I walk back to the bonfire of Firelink Shrine and make my way down below. We're going back to the New Londo ruins, which we passed through on our way up from Blighttown. I make my way to the ruins proper and find the crestfallen warrior. They've gone hollow though. I guess the smell really did it. I take them out and move forward. I make sure to break this jar before entering the ruins. This jar contains a corpse that holds some transient curses. Now, we're going to find a lot of ghosts, which you can't hit unless you're cursed. You remember that status I told you about in the depth? The one that instantly kills you when inflicted and permanently halves your HP. Well, these transient curses allow you to hit the ghost without going through the pain of hugging a basilisk. I make my way forward and use the item when I see my first ghost. Thankfully, the ghosts are pretty weak, so they fall quickly. I also take a small detour here to pick up another Firekeeper's soul. A lot of players come here as soon as they arrive in Lordran to collect this. I just always forget to do that. I make my way back to the main route and up these stairs into this abandoned building, where I make my way forward, taking out ghosts until I reach this fog wall. I traverse it and go up the stairs to knock down this ladder as a shortcut back to the start. I then continue further down the main path, where I come to this building. I keep outside for the moment though, only pausing to take out a large group that has been following me. I go up some stairs and jump onto the roof. From here, I drop into the central room of the building through a window and take out the ghosts inside. Oh, and for those wondering, the ghosts do have a chance to drop more curses, so just kill quick and you should be fine. I then climb up a ladder located in the fireplace to the roof to chat with this guy, Ingwood, Guardian of the Seal. And I must say, that's some nice armor he's wearing. He gives me the key to the seal, and I make my way back down the ladder. I then exit the building and make my way round the ruins until I come to this tower. Located within is this door, on which I use the key I was just given, and push the lever located behind it. This triggers a cutscene of the giant doors opening and emptying the water from the area. I then re-enter the tower and pull this lever to call an elevator, which I take down. Now, the big door I just opened connects back to the Valley of Drakes, but I don't go that way. I make my way into the ruins where I come across my first Dark Wraith. I take them out and push forward to find another fog wall. I traverse it and run past some more Dark Wraiths to use this elevator and unlock another shortcut back to the start of the area. Something I love about this area is because it was flooded, there are no bonfires here, so the whole area uses bonfires located outside of it, and you use shortcuts to make progress. Anyways, not long after this, I go up a set of stairs and get taken out. But that's all good. I've unlocked most of the area and respawned back in the Duke's archive, so I guess
I make my way back into the garden and through the crystal cave, all the way back down to where there's now a fog wall waiting for me. I traverse it and sprint past Seath to reach the primordial crystal. Once broken, it's time to focus on the big boy. Now, the strategy here is just to keep hitting the tips of his extremities, which does make the fight much easier. I do try going for the tail again to get the Moonlight Grain Sword, but when I run out of Estus Flasks, I decided that getting it is going to have to be something to do on the next playthrough. So I go back to focusing on
Just the tip!
And with that, Seath falls.
How's it feel, Seath? To be a bitch.
Another achievement unlocked, and our third Lord Soul acquired. Only one more to go. And while the path to the last Lord is pretty much clear, there's one more thing I need to do to consider my playthrough complete. I level up at the bonfire that spawned in Seath's boss room, and then walk to the Undead Parish to make my way back down to where we fought the Hydra and the Golden Golem. When I get there, I find this weird distortion in the fabric of reality, and, as any sane person would do, I decide to touch it, which triggers a cutscene of me being pulled in by a weird hand. This brings me to the Sanctuary Garden. I light the bonfire and make my way forward to find a fog wall. On the other side, I find the Sanctuary Guardian. Now, I died twice to this boss, but on the third time, when I did get the kill, I forgot to switch back to the gameplay. So enjoy some face cam of me fighting the boss, and then realizing my mistake. I completely forgot to switch back to in-game. Oh. Now, with my mistake rectified, I continue forward to the Ulysses Sanctuary. Here, I light the bonfire and remember the Firekeeper soul I picked up in the New Londo ruins. So a quick trip to back to Firelink Shrine, perform the upgrade, and then back to the Sanctuary. I then have a quick chat with this talking mushroom, and then go and level up. Now back to the path. A short ways forward, I end up in the Royal Wood. I speed through this area, getting interrupted by another rude dragon, and killing one enemy before taking an elevator down to find a fog wall in the distance. But I don't go through it straight away. I take a right to activate another elevator, which connects me back to the start of the Royal Wood. I don't go rest at the bonfire, however. I make my way back down and head to the fog wall. I traverse it, and a cutscene plays, introducing us to Knight Artorias, an absolute legend in the world of Dark Souls, and in the general series as a whole. This boss inspired many bosses after, and I was pretty nervous, as he is one of the more aggressive ones in the game, but I somehow managed to get a first try okay. So now, we continue to press forward. I light the bonfire just beyond, level up, and enter the Ulysses Township. Now, I may have gotten Artorias first try, but let me introduce you to my personal hell. This bridge. I'm able to cross it the first time, but then get caught out by a mimic. I survive though, only to fall off the next bridge. Now, I'm not going to narrate my entire experience here, but, well... I do decide to slow down at one point and kill the mimic, and this time I actually make it across, into the building, and I'm able to come out to the other side to unlock a shortcut. I would like to say this is where my suffering ends. It's not. To take the shortcut back down, and, well, this group of enemies also stopped me in my tracks for another couple of deaths. I do eventually get past them and come face to face with a mini-boss, which I try to run past. Today, I learned the deaths had prepared for people like me, where you have to call an elevator to progress, and the elevator has another enemy on it. I'm able to fall back quickly and then run back to the elevator and take it down, where I end up at another bonfire. Now here, I don't have to kill the next boss for Operation Broken Heart. Now, I need to make my way through the abyss, looking for these apparitions of Alvina, this little cat, all the way until I find this invisible wall. Once I make my way through it, I find a large number of sprites surrounding a beautiful little pup who's protected by this ring of light. This little pupper is Sif, and the reason we came here. I need to kill all the sprites, and once that's done, I'll send her to safety. I mean, the whole point of this stream was to save doggos, right? And with that, Operation Broken Heart is complete. Next, I warp to the Undead Parish and make my way to the hidden bonfire next to the weird-looking door. Now, if you remember way back in the video, I purchased the Crest of Artorias with the souls I got from the Stray Demon. Now, I'm finally going to use it. I open this weird door and sprint past a bunch of people trying to kill me, until I find this small building. Inside, I find Alvina, the cat that led us to Sif, where she asked me if I want to join the Forest Hunters Covenant, which I accept to make the people outside no longer hostile. This also unlocks another achievement. I then make my way out of the building and further into the forest, until I come across this bridge. I cross it and open the door on the other side. This leads me to the Grave of Artorias, where I make my way up to the sword in the middle, and here, out comes Sif. But this is present-day Sif, much bigger than the Sif we saved in the past. And if you do things in this order, then cutscene that plays is slightly different. And when she comes up, she recognizes you. And it breaks my heart every single time. Because she doesn't want to fight you, but she doesn't want you to become corrupted by the abyss like Artorias was. So she will defend the ring that allows you to enter the abyss till her last breath. And it sucks. Gwyn will pay for this! It's not a difficult fight. The hardest part of it is, when you get Sif to low health, she'll start limping. But she keeps on fighting, and you have to put her down to finish the game.
I put her out of her misery, received the Covenant of Artorias, and the Art of Abyss walking achievement. So this never feels like victory. Gwyn must suffer. After recovering from my heartbreak, I homeward bone and walk back to Firelink Shrine. Before heading to the next boss, I purchased some of Artorias' armor, and then make my way down to the New Londo ruins and through the Valley of the Drakes until I find this tower, which contains an elevator that takes me up to a bonfire. I set my spawn here, and now we're going to start making our way to the next boss. I come down from the tower and attempt to cross the bridge covered in drakes, and they kill me. I try again and almost make it, but this time I get caught on a drake's wing, and that leads to another death. On the third attempt, I make it past the drakes, but take a wrong turn in the ruins and get taken out by some dark wraiths. On the fourth attempt, though, I make it through the ruins and get to the fog wall, which I traverse. And here, I switch up my arm. I equip Havel's full set, because the next fight is a DPS check, and you need to output a certain amount of damage or get overwhelmed. And one of the quickest ways to increase your offense is to give up completely on defense. Or in this case, have a high enough defense that you don't need to use rolling or blocking anymore. So the best armor in the game is required for taking hits. I also equip the Covenant of Artorias string, otherwise it's an instant death when I reach the boss. I then drop down this big old hole in the floor and land in a place where...
Hey, who turned out the lights?
But this time, I'm fully enveloped in the darkness. And this is where the Four Kings boss fight starts. Quick note, more than 4 kings can spawn if you're not quick enough. But given our elite strategy of hitting them very hard while taking hits like a champ, that's not going to happen this time. The first one falls, followed by the second, then the third, and finally the fourth, with a short cutscene to mark the occasion. And with that, another achievement is unlocked, another first try LK, and all 4 Lord Souls are collected. It's finally time. Now, I level up in the Abyss and then warp to Firelink Shrine. After this, I re-equip my armor, so I switch back to the Helm of Favor, just cause I think it looks better. And we all know that Fashion Souls is the true endgame of Dark Souls. I then go bonk Frampt on the head cause he's nodded off again. He then takes me to the Firelink altar, where I offer the 4 Lord Souls to the Lord Vessel. This triggers a cutscene and the opening of the doors in front of us. I start making my way forward, coming across some Black Knights, when I realize I need to reverse hollow. So I turn back around and make my way back to the Lord Vessel, and then reverse hollowing here, and then make my way back down. I follow the path in front of me, taking out all the Black Knights in my way until I reach the fog wall. But what? I killed the Sunlight Maggot. Solaire's summon sign should be here. Where are you, Sunbro? So after going to do a bit of research, Solaire's summon sign didn't show up because I didn't go and speak to him after beating the Bed of Chaos boss fight. But I didn't learn about this until making this video. But I know he survived, and in that case, my new headcanon is that Solaire realized that he didn't need to find a son, that he gave up his life of fighting and is enjoying a peaceful life somewhere out in the world. Love you, Sunbro. Stay safe out there. This also means that we're solo for taking out Gwyn. Now, Gwyn normally isn't that hard of a boss, especially if you can parry him. But parrying requires quick reflexes, which is something I'm in severe lack of after nearly 19 hours of gameplay. And technically being awake for 24 hours at this point, but that's a different story completely. But that's not going to stop me now. I've made it this far. So I attempt the fight, and die, and then die again, and one last time. At this point, I decide maybe I need to reach my full strength before facing the final boss. So on another trip to New Londo we go, to find this item, the Very Large Ember. I then make my way to Andre and give him the Very Large Ember. Upgrade my Claymore a few times, and then come back to the Lord Vessel to farm the first Black Knight in the area for some Titanite chunks, allowing me to upgrade my weapon to plus 15, the max level, also unlocking me an achievement. Now, it's time to finish this. There we go. After 19 hours and 12 minutes of streaming, win is finally conquered. I go to the bonfire in the middle of the room, where a cutscene plays of my character being set alight, thus linking the first flame. Final achievement of my playthrough pops, and the credits play. It's done. And for those wondering, yep, the next 6 hours were really painful. Listen, I'm the sort of guy who likes to take mid-afternoon naps. 24 hours is long to be awake. What can I say? We played some Pokemon, marbles on stream, a little bit of Journey, and then ended the stream watching the last episode of the latest season of My Hero Academia, which was very cool. Just saying. And then I went and slept. Hey there, I'm Rascal. It's a little bit later than the stream, if you can't tell. Firstly, if you're here, then thank you for watching to the end of the video. This turned out to be a much bigger project than what I was expecting originally. The main reason that I'm here on your screens with my face is because, well, the money that was raised during the stream, the person who I was raising it for ended up not being able to accept the money. And yeah, I did think about maybe donating the money to a dog charity or something along those lines, and contacting everyone, being like, hey, this happened, but, you know, but it didn't feel right. That's not what the money was donated for, so I just refunded everything. Should have the receipts on the screen somewhere right now. But yeah, while I'm here though, I do want to give some thank yous to some brilliant, amazing people. Firstly, my sister, Jay, who basically taught me how to use Premiere again a few years back and has been a huge supporter and great feedback giver in all my projects. My broskies, Bojo, and Fabemi. There's Quack and Kartik, my Dark Souls bros, Zeb and Lord, and then Beth, the chaotic gremlin, who has always been supportive as well. I need to thank Luan, who, without him, my audio would sound like this. And I'm 100% sure I'm forgetting people right now. And it sucks, but, you know, if you've been here throughout this time, you know, I love you guys. I really just am grateful. It's been a rough winter, but I'm coming to the end. And hey, thank you. And once again, thank you to you for watching this video up till here. It was a mad project, but it's now come to an end. And I'm going to hopefully take everything I've learned from this and put it into future, shorter projects, at least for the moment. I have some ideas for some long ones, but this has been about 4 months on this one, and I think I need to do something which is going to take me a few weeks. So yeah. Anyways, thank you again to all the people who have been here these last few months, and to everyone who's watched this, and yeah. Hopefully I'll see you again soon. Alrighty. Peace. Bye.